Hello, everybody, and welcome to day 2, the knockout portion of the 2025 ChessKid Youth Championship. 12 players started, 8 were voted off the island. Now, they played their best, but 4 advanced to today's knockout semifinals and finals. And once again, I'm joined by my BFF, Ben Feingold forever. Ben, welcome back.
It's nice to be back, Mike. I'm really excited for the semifinals and finals today.
Absolutely. This is the cream of the crop. All 12 kids are doing awesome. They're all in the top 0.1% of their age group in the world. This is the under 13 division. The under 16 will come at you next month. But we have got, like I said, 4 of the best and brightest. One of them is actually staying awake till 1 a.m. just to play the match. We also had a last minute substitution, which we'll get to in a minute. But Ben, let's take a look at the format, because yesterday's double round robin is now changed to a knockout. Ben, walk us through what we're going to see today in the knockout.
Okay, well, we started with 12 players yesterday, and we got down to 4. It's going to be a match of 4 games, semifinals, start in a few minutes. If the match is tied at 2-2, you're going to have a 2-game playoff. If that's tied, you're going to have an Armageddon game. The winners of each semifinal will play each other in the finals, which is best of 6 games with the same kind of tiebreak rules. And at the end of the day, we're going to have a winner. We're going to have a second place. 2 players will get third, and lots of cash for the players.
Yep, everybody gets $500 just for advancing. The winner gets $1,500, but let's take a look at the 4 players that are still alive in our very elite competition. You can see here on the screen, excuse me, that Wiktor He scored the highest score of anybody yesterday. He got 7 out of 10 and finished first in Pool A. He will take on a last-minute substitution. WFM Megan Paragua takes the place of Super T Banerjee. We want to say Super T did awesome yesterday. He got 6.5 and got first place in Pool B. But unfortunately, his other team needs him. He's currently playing a league match in England, and he is locked in a very complicated endgame. So they're, can't double book the guy, right? We can't have him play a classical game while playing here. So Super T will still go away with at least third place money, and we're super sad we couldn't fit him in. But we also couldn't make some of our other players stay awake any longer, because in the other match, we've got Aaron Mendez, who finished second place in Pool B. He now kind of slots up into first place, and he plays against the second place finisher of Pool A, Reyaansh Chakrabarty. It is 1 a.m. in Sydney. And Ben, I did look, the Hungry Diner is open 24 hours. So he can get a celebratory dinner if Reyaansh is able to win. And there we can see the cash money prizes. Ben, when was the last time you won more than $1,000 in a tournament?
Definitely not when I was under 13. To be perfectly honest, I can't remember the last time I won more than $1,000 in a tournament. I used to do it, but it's probably been at least 10 years.
Yeah, it's been even longer than that for me, but $1,500, not bad for 2 days work. Everybody gets at least $500, as you saw on the screen. It is a $5,000 total prize fund. So happy that Megan was able to come in, and good luck to Super T. We'll have him back for more events, and I'll also see him probably at Chess Fest in London. But we're moments away from starting here. As Ben said, best of 4. We did actually increase the finals, Ben. Last year, the finals were best of 4, and the feedback we got from our community is we want to see more chess. It's a little bit too short. So it's actually going to be a best of 6 finals just to see a little bit more chess. And there we see the kids. Ben, what do you see with, if we can go back to Reyaansh's camera there, because, he is the one at 1 a.m. Does he look awake to you?
He does look awake to me, actually. I guess he's used to it because of last night. So the latest he ever stayed up was last night in his life. And tonight is going to be breaking the record. So if we have another tournament tomorrow, he can stay up till 5 a.m. But if he wins the event, he'll have to give an interview with us at 3 a.m. That'll be a very interesting interview.
It will be. We promise we want the best for these children. It's just really tough to accommodate time zones. And as Ben said, in the post-game interview yesterday, Reyaansh said that 1 a.m., when his match ended, was the latest he'd ever been up. And now he's starting his match at 1 a.m. in Sydney. So we may have to make like an Australian-only event or an Asian-only event to accommodate those time zones. But you know what, Ben? He didn't have to wake up super early to watch the World Championship, and we did for 3 weeks in a row. So There you go.
That's right.
I didn't. I was in Singapore.
And we'll give a special thanks to Megan, who was waiting in the wings and was ready to go in case something happened, and passed fair play very quickly, and she's ready to play.
Absolutely. She is probably the most recognizable face, along with Aaron Mendez, he of the title of the 2023 ChessKid Youth Speed Chess Championship. So we titled this event a little bit differently a couple of years ago when it was entirely a knockout. But we added players this time, and we added age categories, and we are off and running. Wow, the moves just kind of jumped in. That means we're off and running. We're going to look at both games at the same time. Ben, take it away in the opening. What do you see from either game?
Looks like the Wiktor game looks like it was a Sicilian, although I can't bet on it. Not sure what the opening was in Aaron's game with Reyaansh. Might have been a Carol Khan, since it's like white played e4 and black played c6. So right now, both positions, white is slightly better out of the opening. Black is playing very solid, and all 4 players look very concentrated on their positions. White just retreated his queen, Aaron. They're doing a repetition right now. But, okay, kids don't like to draw by repetition in the opening. So I think Aaron's going to have to find another square for his queen against Reyaansh. White has space advantage in Wiktor's game with Megan. Megan has a very solid position. So White is slightly better in both games. Aaron did manage to find another square for the queen, put it on a3, attacking the e7 pawn. just to avoid the repetition. And both games are pretty solid right now. And we're going to have exciting middle game and end games. And probably, like we saw yesterday, we're going to have some time trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we noted yesterday, no player asserted their speed dominance. Wiktor had his chess dominance, scoring 7 out of 10, but we didn't see any games where one player had, say, 2 minutes and the other player had 10 seconds. Unless it was an extraordinary event, like Megan trying to find a way to win from a lost position in that final round. But that's kind of neither here nor there. So small advantage for Aaron. By the way, you did guess the opening right in that game. That was a Caro-Kann. I believe Wiktor had a Maroczy-Bind game like this yesterday where he played knight takes c6. I'm not quite sure if he was the one that had the Maroczy, but we did have one Maroczy-Bind type position yesterday.
Yeah, and for some reason, Reyaansh is thinking forever, and he's a minute behind on the clock against Aaron. I'm interested to see, okay, I guess I'm not going to see it, if White was going to sacrifice the exchange with rook takes e6. Reyaansh thought a long time, put his bishop on d5. Aaron put his knight in the center. And again, if we had the Mike Klein engine, White, the thermometer would be a little bit higher for White because of the time advantage. Black's position is very solid, a little bit passive. But yeah, Reyaansh probably can't expect it to be playing super fast at 1 a.m. his time, although I guess he's getting used to it.
Yeah, I didn't check his account to see if he played any warm-up games. And for those of you who were out playing golf and did not join us yesterday and don't know what the Mike Klein engine is, that is the mythical engine that takes into account an arbitrary estimate of how much the clock is worth. We've not actually invented this on Chess.com, but if you like the idea, throw it in the chat. I'll get my programmers right on it because they have nothing else to do. Yeah, they only have a list of 1,000 tickets in Jira. If you've never heard of Jira, yeah, exactly. But you know what? I have a question. It looks like things broke open in the Wiktor versus Megan game. I didn't see if Black actually got d5 in, but now that the pawn structure has changed a lot, who do you think it benefits? Because it kind of looks like Black's c6 pawn is not long for this world.
That's right. And what happened was White played c5 and Black took on c5. And then instead of losing the c5 pawn, Black played c4. So they both sort of sacrificed a pawn to get it back later. Black has 2 isolated pawns on the queen side. So White is obviously better. Black is still very solid, but Black is going to have to spend the next few moves defending the c6 and a7 pawns. White doesn't really have any targets. So it looks like Wiktor has the kind of position that he likes. Of course, Megan may start slowly this match because she just found out she was playing a few minutes ago. But that is not necessarily true. She could have been preparing and ready and knowing what the situation was going to be and is psyched up for the game. So Megan is slightly worse with she has more time on the clock. And things are getting very exciting in the other board, Aaron versus Reyaansh. White sacked the exchange, always sacked the exchange. And Engine says White's winning. I'm not sure why. I like White's rook on the 7th rank. I like the dark squares. But I think Reyaansh's bigger issue, rather than the board position, is the time situation. 1 minute and 10 for Aaron, 20 seconds for Reyaansh. But it's good to see an exchange sack. So I gotta like White.
Sorry, Ben. I'm also confused why the computer says winning. I think the queen is going to teleport, and she did. That was kind of the deal. It was a very long-term way to get the queen over to the king side. But now there's no argument why White is better. It's very hard to stop checkmates on G7.
This is over. He's got 5 seconds left, and he has to stop mate, and I can't see how to stop mate.
I think the issue with that game is that after the exchange sack, Black was basically paralyzed, and even though the queen was light years away from where she needed to be, she had all the time in the world to get there. And after queen f6, 1-0, Canada, our only IM in the field, Aaron Mendez, takes down Reyaansh, and that's our first result of the match. Let's see if we can take a look at the other game on the big screen. We've got Wiktor and Megan locked in a duel, and my clock was briefly showing that Wiktor was out of time. Let me see if I can actually update my board here. And
Megan seems to have equalized the position. Her pawns aren't weak on the queen side as much as they were. She has a passed D pawn. She has more time on the clock. So this game, all three results are possible, and probably the engine, my client engine would be in Black's favor because of the time situation, but engine doesn't care about that, so it says that White is slightly better.
Yeah, knight versus bishop, always a struggle to determine who's better. The bishop is currently blocked in, but man, the white pieces are tied up trying to block those pawns and checking the clocks. Victor's got to get moving and grooving. I never like to play against knights with the clock ticking down. You could lose your rook at any moment here if your king and rook get disconnected. I would take black though. Oh, after this move, it looks like the pawn might go free, or the knight's going to get trapped is the deal.
Yeah, the knight on d7 doesn't have a lot of squares. Yeah, it looks like Black did trap the knight. White has 1 second left. Looks like we're going to have a wild upset in the first game here.
Yeah, Megan, as I said yesterday, she always seems, and first of all, her level is incredibly high, right? She just made 2,300, but she always seems to play even above her rating in all of her invited events on ChessKid. She's had several noticeable, noteworthy upsets in the knockout portions of events that we've invited her to. And she looks like she's on her way here, but she's going to lose her bishop, but it won't matter because the D pawn will come.
That was a good move.
Okay, 1 win for White, 1 win for Black. And in our mini competition, North America goes 2-0. Megan takes down Wiktor Golis. Wiktor, I don't even know if he had any losses yesterday. Maybe he had one on his way to his 7.0 score. But a pretty exciting first round as all of these players, I believe, are very close to, if not above, 2,300 FIDE. Some very, very high-rated kids here.
Yeah, that was a very exciting first round. No draws. Megan came back from a worse position. Had a time advantage, outplayed Wiktor, and she scored the first victory of the match.
Yep, and the players are going to get a couple of minutes here, not too long, before we switch colors and play them again. We don't want them just go jumping into the games right away. We want to give them just a second to catch their breath. Reyaansh, you know, when I was falling asleep in class, my teacher would actually have me stand up and do jumping jacks, not as punishment, but just to get the blood moving. So I wouldn't just sit locked in my chair. But you know, you obviously you can't hear me, but I hope you have some sort of method. I see Ben's going with coffee. I'm going with coffee, Nespresso to be perfectly clear. And we're trying to keep pace with these players because they're so young and they're so fast. But I love that first round, Ben.
Yeah, that was a great first round. Very exciting. Saw an exchange sacrifice from Aaron. We saw Megan have good endgame technique and better clock management. And the match is only 4 games long, so losing the first game isn't something you want to do. If anybody loses the second game after losing the first, they're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, you're right. Going down 2-0 is really bad because you have to win 2 in a row. Of course, we saw it in the World Cup a couple of years ago. Remember the Peters Fiddler match? But okay, I am showing my oldness by even bringing up things like that. It's pretty rare to go up 2-0 and not be able to at least get a draw in one of the final 2 games. Okay, here we go. Megan is off and running. So is Reyaansh. Both players playing white. And we have another rook G1, G4. Always play G4, Ben? I don't know. What are your thoughts on this maneuver? We saw it twice yesterday.
Yeah, we have a knight or Sicilian. White played G4 early. Then Black played D5, counterattacking in the center. For some reason, Engine prefers white. If I was playing, I would prefer Black. That means that I'm wrong. But yeah, this is typical now. Rook G1, G4, and attack on the king side. But Black has good counterplay in the center. Black's position is fine. We have a French defense in Megan's game with Wiktor. They played the topical queen takes d5 line. And Engine really likes white. White just sacrificed a piece, but not really. Because if you take the knight, then bishop f4, check wins the queen. Wiktor castled queenside. And the Engine already says Wiktor has good position with good control of the center. I assume bishop c6 will be played because the f-pawn is currently under attack. And Wiktor needs to win this game since he lost the first game. Don't want to go down 2-0. We have an endgame in Reyaansh's game with Aaron where White just played knight c5. White's playing on both sides of the board, g4 and knight c5. White's trying to get the two bishops. The engine prefers white. White does have the two bishops. And black played rook d8 to try to trade pieces. Black can't castle kingside because Aaron king can't go through check on f8. So Reyaansh needs to win this game and get back even in the match. Engine says he's slightly better. He has the two bishops. So Reyaansh is looking like good chances to equalize the match, as does Wiktor. Wiktor has a nice position. And unfortunately, the players who lost the first game both have big time disadvantages in the second game. So we'll see if that comes back to hurt them later.
That's a good observation. And one thing we learned yesterday, Reyaansh knows a ton of theory. There was one game where we thought Reyaansh had dropped a couple of pawns, but magically had compensation. But we interviewed him afterward, Ben, and it wasn't magic. He knew a line that looked totally weird, but also totally product of the computer generation, right? He just knew that line and knew it was good. So this rook g1, g4, I feel like he's still very much in his comfort zone. Obviously, I don't think his theory goes this far. That's one thing to watch out for. Aaron is an IM, but can he keep pace with Reyaansh's theory? I'm not sure. Also to be noted, we talked to 3 of these 4 players yesterday, and they're all sort of chasing records. Reyaansh is trying to be the youngest grandmaster of all time. He's got a couple of years. Aaron's trying to become the youngest grandmaster in Canadian history. And Megan is trying to set records for youngest female. She's already the 6th youngest female to get to the 2,300 barrier. And I'm sure Wiktor is going for records as well, but my Polish is so bad. My great-grandmother did not teach me enough, so we didn't get a chance to interview him. But we're working on that. If Wiktor advances to the finals, we're going to get a Polish interpreter in to be able to talk with him. All right, Megan plays c4, trying to open the queen side, but it looks like black is crashing through a little bit earlier in that Wiktor versus Megan game.
Yeah, Wiktor still has a better position. He's a minute behind on the clock. We have opposite color bishops, which means both sides can have an attack. White can play b4 and sacrifice a pawn, prepare it with a3. The bishop is ensconced on d5. That's why White played c4. So I don't know whose position I like, but looking at the clock times, definitely the Mike Klein engine prefers White. Huge time advantage for Megan.
Yeah, absolutely. Wiktor, if Wiktor could accomplish f5, e4 and control some of those light squares, I have no idea how to get that in. But if his center pawn mass can become mobile, I think that would really increase the pressure on Megan. But if I'm Megan here, she's tidying up her defense, and Wiktor has only 20 seconds. That actually is one of the largest time discrepancies, Ben. We just got done talking about how we didn't see it yesterday, but we're seeing it here today.
Yeah, and if Megan can win this game with her huge time advantage, she'll be up 2-0 in the match. A little bit surprising since she was the replacement, but she was ready. And opposite side castling, both sides are attacking. Both sides have beautiful bishops. And the only problem for Wiktor is his time management. He has 10 seconds. Megan has a minute 20. The other game, Reyaansh has increased his advantage. Got the two bishops. The e5 pawn is weak. But again, Reyaansh is not using his clock well, has less than 20 seconds. So Aaron has chances to tie up the match. To go take a 2-0 lead because Reyaansh has so little time on his clock. But Reyaansh's position is much better. Reyaansh is playing really nice game, getting two bishops, attacking the black pawns. And black has a lot of weak pawns. So White's going to try to take those over the next 5 or 10 moves.
We talked about this yesterday, but yeah. I was just going to say the hanging pawns are immobile, but they got mobile, and he better not move his c2 bishop, or else there's an Arabian mate on d1. But anyway, I know Megan's game and Wiktor's down to 5 seconds. What do you see there, Ben?
Yeah, that game, Engine says is equal, even though both sides are getting checkmated. Queen e5 defending g3. Anybody could get checkmated any move, or Wiktor could lose on time. So it's very exciting. White can play b6 soon, or b takes a6. Black is crashing through on the king side. Megan's down to 20 seconds. They traded queens. They're trading a lot. The engine says it's equal, but this is the kind of equal where I expect somebody to win, not a boring draw. Black sacrificed a pawn. B7 is very weak. White has the advantage now. Wiktor has 0 seconds on his clock, and he's playing totally on increment. Very exciting. It looks like White's winning. The other game just ended in a draw, the Reyaansh game. So Megan is the only game left. And now it says, wow, the computer just goes up and down. Both sides have very little time on the clock. And looks like White's winning with the extra pawns. White has 10 extra seconds. Megan has excellent chances to go up 2-0.
Yeah, absolutely. We're trying to find a way to get you that game on the big screen. I can't quite find it in my monitor here, but amazing bravado by Wiktor to be able to play for the win with so little time. But look at that. Megan ends up winning another rook and pawn endgame. Of course, in game one, she had an extra bishop. Doesn't hurt to have the extra bishop. But a big lead for Megan to go up 2-0. She is now dormy, as we say in match play golf. She only needs to hold one of the next 2 games to be able to advance. Wiktor looks stoic, though. He doesn't look any worse for the wear. We saw some emotion out of some players yesterday for sure. So Reyaansh, yeah, he wanted to win with the bishops, and he had stymied those hanging pawns for a while, but couldn't find a way to break through, as you said, Ben. Very little time on his clock. But not the worst result in the world to end up with a draw. However, if Aaron is able to win as White in game 3, that would actually end the match. So Reyaansh does have to start being a little bit careful here in such a short match. Who has impressed you so far with the first 2 games here?
Well, Megan is the most impressive because she was the alternate, didn't know she was playing until about 10 minutes before we started, and she's 2-0 against Wiktor, who won his section yesterday. So Megan was the real underdog, didn't have time to prepare for anybody, and she still played like a champ. She's 2-0. She needs a draw or a win in the next 2 games, and she goes on to the final. And in the final, they play for a lot of money. So Megan went from not qualifying for the final to now having good chances to win 1,500. It was a good 15 minutes for Megan.
Absolutely. And you know what? She's also got the crowd behind her, because we asked our community who they thought they wanted to, who they wanted to make it to the finals? Yeah, who they thought would be in the finals. And they thought Aaron versus Megan. A large majority thought that the 2 North Americans could advance. And it looks like our chat so far is pretty good at prognosticating. Of course, we're not there yet. Aaron versus Wiktor got a lot of votes. Nobody seems to think that Reyaansh will advance at all. And I think that's partially just not knowing his talent, okay? Just not knowing. He's from Australia, and although they have a very vibrant chess culture, I don't know how many Aussies are awake at 1 a.m. cheering on their countrymen. But if you are at the Hungry Diner in Sydney having some, what's a pie they eat in Australia? Rhubarb? I just made that up. Blueberry is everywhere. Blueberry pie. I want you to get in chat and support your boy Reyaansh.
Yeah, maybe some of the people who were voting think that since it's 1 or 2 in the morning, they're not going to put their money on Reyaansh, even though he showed yesterday he can play at 1 in the morning. So, yeah, it's tough to bet against the only IM in the event. So that a lot of people think Aaron's going to win. I'm surprised Megan's 2-0. Wiktor played very well yesterday, and she was a replacement. And it just shows you in blitz chess, anything can happen. Megan has played really well today, and Wiktor needs to win both games to force a playoff.
Well, we come back from this very short break. We're going to see if either of those things is about to happen. Can Wiktor go 2-0? Can Reyaansh avoid another loss as black and extend this to a game 4? This is our only little mini break of the match. Come back for game 3 so we can see if the North Americans will continue to do well or if our international players will be able to get back in the match. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back very soon to the 2025 ChessKid Youth Championship.
Students, did you know that you can get a discount on any Chess.com premium membership? If you're enrolled in a college, university, or high school in a participating country, you can get 50% off any yearly or monthly premium plan, diamond, platinum, or gold. That's unlimited game review, unlimited puzzles, unlimited bots, unlimited lessons, and no ads. All at 50% off. Go to chess.com/students and get your discount today.
My name is Fabiano Caruana, and this is Google Autocomplete. What is Fabiano Caruana's favorite chess opening? Oh, I'll have to say the Archangel variation of the Ruy Lopez, which I made a video course on, and it's always been a favorite since I was a child. What does Fabiano Caruana do with C-squared? That's the podcast that I co-host along with Grandmaster Christian Kirilla. We've been doing it for about 2.5 years, and it's been fun. You know, it's the first time that I went into not just playing chess, but also talking about chess. So that was pretty cool. What is Fabiano Caruana's IQ? I have no idea what my IQ is. I don't know. I've never taken a test, as far as I know. I have no idea.
What would be your guess?
I don't even want to guess or know. Either whatever it is, I have no interest in knowing it. Has Fabiano Caruana ever won a world championship? I have not won a world championship. I've played a world championship, but I didn't win it against Magnus in 2018. That was the one time that I played the world championship. What was Fabiano Caruana's career highlight? I think this is similar to the last question. My career highlight was winning the candidates in 2018. And that qualified me for the World Championship. So that was probably the most, the happiest I was after playing a tournament, and the most difficult tournament, and probably the proudest success that I have. How tall is Fabiano Caruana? I think 169 centimeters. I guess that's either 5'6" or 5'7", 169 centimeters. Did Fabiano Caruana go to college? I didn't go to college. I never went to college. I never went to high school. I went to school until I was 12, and then I stopped. I was done with it after that. Is Fabiano Caruana Italian? I have a lot of Italian heritage. I am an Italian citizen. My mother's Italian. I never grew up in Italy. I never lived in Italy, but I have a lot of family there. So I spent a lot of time as a kid visiting them, spending time with my family, and also from my father's side as well. He has a lot of Italian ancestry, and all my grandparents were born in Italy. So from a heritage point of view, I'm very Italian, and also I'm an Italian citizen, but I haven't ever lived there. And although I did represent Italy for many years now, I represent the United States playing chess.
The fastest, easiest way to improve your chess is now the most fun way to improve your chess. Chess.com's brand new puzzles now have loads of exciting features to make solving a joy. Earn points and race your friends across puzzle tiers from wood to bronze, all the way to legend. Rack up bonuses for streaks, for speed, for accuracy, for daily solving, difficulty, and more. And now, you can get feedback from Coach while solving puzzles. Coach lets you know what each puzzle's goal is and why a move doesn't actually work. And, as always, puzzles will be selected just for your level from our database of hundreds of thousands of high-quality, beautiful, brilliant, and instructive puzzles. So what are you waiting for? Try puzzles today on web, Android, or iOS, and have a blast leveling up your chess.
Welcome back, chess fans from near and far. This is the conclusion of the semifinals of the 2025 ChessKid Youth Championship Under 13 division, where we find out What tween is the best tween in the world? A preteen, for those of you who are not native English speakers. We've got Grandmaster Ben Feingold, who is not only a native English speaker, but can match me 80s movie for 80s movie quote. Whoever gets the best quote in, I don't know, whatever the prize is. Ben, welcome back.
Thanks, Mike. That was a very exciting first half of the semifinals. Hopefully we get to see a lot more chess. Of course, each match could end next round if Megan draws or Aaron wins. Then we'll get to the finals a little more quickly than we expected. But it's been very exciting, and the pressure's on Wiktor now. He has to go 2-0 and then win the playoffs. So not an easy task, but very streaky in blitz chess, and anybody can win.
There we see the bracket. Megan has not only been the better player, she's been the faster player, converting to endgames. As Ben said, she's 2-0. And don't consider her the underdog. I know she's got the WFM by her name, but we can now get rid of the W. At least once FIDE confers the title. She just made 2,300 with a 2,500 performance at Granky. So I'm not even going to call her an underdog, and don't call it a comeback if you're Wiktor. Wiktor still is in this thing. And as we also saw, Reyaansh got a draw, but he needs to make sure he doesn't lose this game to be able to advance to a fourth game. And of course, if he wins, then everything will be riding on the fourth game. Ben already walked us through the tiebreak procedures earlier. If any of these matches are tied 2-2, then we will play extra chess and maybe even some Armageddon. Welcome back. 2025 ChessKid Youth Championship. Jeans are allowed in our event. Just going to throw that out there. So. All right, we're off and running. We have a Caro Khan in Aaron versus Reyaansh. I think that's a repeat from round one. And we have some sort of weird Sicilian where Black never played D6 over in Wiktor's game. Ben knows more theory. Ben, what do you got in these games?
Yeah, this is the main line of this particular variation. Take on C5, bishop C5, queen D5, queen B6. It's a pawn sacrifice, and white usually gives up the pawn on F2. This is old theory. Players are pretty young, so probably Megan knows it because she's playing it, and Wiktor probably looked at it a long time ago and has never faced it. So it's supposed to be better for white, but okay, bishop D3, I already don't know. And Megan probably doesn't know it either because I don't think it's a theoretical move. So we're on our own now. This line's not popular for Black, but I think it's a really good surprise weapon, and I think it's really good in blitz chess.
Well, before we get to the other game, let me ask you, she only needs a draw. Do you think playing an offbeat opening is a good strategy, or do you think that it doesn't, the best way to play for a draw is to play for a win? That'll say.
Yeah, she should play for a win, and she should do what she did the first two games, which is to get big time advantage. And she already has a time advantage in this game. That seemed to really help her at the end of the game in both games. The other game, Aaron has his queen on A3 again, just like he did in the other game, where his queen eventually somehow went to E7 and F6 with checkmate. And this is a little bit different. Both sides move their queen out a lot. Reyaansh can't lose this game or the match is over. Both positions, white is slightly better. Megan has a 35-second time advantage. Aaron has a 40-second time advantage, which is pretty, on move 10 or 11, that's pretty good time advantage. But nobody's winning yet. Positions are very interesting, and we'll see who plays better in the time trouble.
It should be noted, Reyaansh looks wide awake. I mean, we don't know what's going on inside his head, but he looks no worse for the wear despite it approaching 2 a.m. in Sydney. We always thank him and his family for being so accommodating. And it's better than not playing in the tournament, right? So we're happy to have him. But yeah, he actually, if I were him, I'd play for a win of both games, of course. You want to give yourself two chances to make the comeback as Black. We know Wiktor has to play for a win in 2 games. And if we go back to this Wiktor versus Megan game, she's got this backward pawn on D5. She may have even wanted to push it just to sack it, but bishop to D4 prevents that from happening. And it looks like, I don't know, I'd rather play white in that position just because the D5 pawn looks like it's going to be a problem long term.
No, I agree with you, Mike. The engine says it's okay, but it looks like it's more fun to play white. Black's position is fine. And both sides that need to win this game have time disadvantages, as they did in the first 2 games. So it's very important in 3-minute chess, play faster than your opponent. And that's one of the reasons I don't lose all of my games. I know that. I know I can't play well anymore. So if I play fast and bad, that's better than slow and bad. so I can still win a game occasionally. Reyaansh's position looks completely equal now and sort of boring, which is good for Reyaansh because he has a big time disadvantage. He has the 2 bishops. He has a slightly worse pawn structure, but there's no way to break through either side right now. I think Reyaansh is doing okay. He seems very focused. It doesn't seem like it's 2 a.m. for him. And we have a lot of trades in the other game. The d5 pawn for Megan isn't backward and weak anymore, although it is being attacked by the bishop on f3. Black can get a big majority on the queen side, try to get the pawns to b4 and c3. Black just threatened the b2 pawn. And the engine likes white, but again, the Mike Klein engine says it's about equal because Wiktor has 30 seconds less. And right now, both games are in the drawing zone, but it's blitz chess. So we're bound to see something afoot and somebody get in time trouble. And hopefully we'll see no eliminations and we'll get to see game 4 in both. I want to see more chess. I don't think Megan agrees with me, but I like to see more chess. All 4 players are playing for a win. And looks like Wiktor's catching up on time and the position's about equal. In the other game, says it's about equal also. So both sides are playing very well under the pressure. And all 4 players, which you can see on the screen, look super focused on their game. And we'll just have to see if something happens. It looks like Wiktor has taken the advantage against Megan. He's played h4. He wants to attack on the king side. Megan's trying to get counterplay on the queen side by dominating the c file, trying to take the pawn on a2 and get 2 passed pawns. Engine likes white. The engine says white has a good attack. Black's queenside pawns are dangerous. The time is about the same. We have a completely equal position in the Aaron and Reyaansh game, and Aaron is moving his king up the board. And unfortunately for Reyaansh, he has over a minute time disadvantage. And this has happened in both matches. Megan always has a time advantage. Aaron always has a time advantage. They're the ones that are ahead in the match.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Reyaansh because the king is estimated to be worth 4 points in the endgame if you can activate him. Of course, you can't trade your king for a bishop and pawn, but the king has knifed his way in as far as possible. And this looks very, very tough to hold if you ask me for Reyaansh. I was actually thinking he should have kept the rooks on the board and gone for a minority attack on the c3 pawn because this minor piece only endgame just gives white all of the chances and there's simply no weaknesses for black to target. So this is going to be really tough to hold. Aaron might be on the precipice here of advancing and trying to win his second ever ChessKid title, but he does have to finish this off. Reyaansh has 10 seconds left in a much worse position. Going to be tough, Ben. I think if I had to put some fake money down, I would put some Canadian dollars on Aaron here.
Yeah, Aaron looks like he's going to win. Got a winning position, better king, extra pawn, an extra minute on the clock. In Wiktor's game, Wiktor has the better pawn structure. Megan's king side got a little destroyed. Black's counterplay on the queen side is gone. Unfortunately for Wiktor, he has 7 seconds left, and he needs to win the game with opposite colored bishops. So engine likes white. It looks like black just blundered. Bishop g4 wins a piece. Wiktor's winning now. 10 seconds should be enough time with the increment to finish it off. And it looks like we're going to see a game 4 in Megan's match. And other matches ended. Aaron has won with his passed pawn. Aaron wins 2.5/2. And looks like Wiktor's going to bring it to game 4.
Yeah, well said, Ben. I was just going to say the final blunder was bishop f3 over in the Aaron game, where Reyaansh is no longer able to stop the pawn. So congratulations to our only IM, Aaron Mendez. He will move on to the finals. He also gets the benefit of a little bit of extra rest. He has Wiktor to thank for that. The Polish community going ecstatic for extending this match. Wiktor wins on demand against Megan. It is now 2-1, but Megan will take the white pieces. She will only need a draw to advance. And I thank Reyaansh for his excellent play and for staying up late. A member of my team has told me that India may have done well against Australia in cricket. So it's been a tough day for our Aussie friends, but you still have the cutest koalas. And I'm so glad that we were able to accommodate Reyaansh, and he was able to stay up late. So he will finish In a tie for third, he'll take home $500 US, which in Australia, I don't know, that's even more. So good job for him. And we hope to have him back. And we hope to follow his path, his journey to become the youngest Australian Grandmaster and maybe the youngest ever Grandmaster. If you want to learn more about him, there are some great interviews that ChessBase India has put on YouTube where you can hear the man talk about his goals. And we said this yesterday, Ben, but even his parents are training. His parents are in training to become good chess parents, and they're studying from accomplished parents. And I thought that was fantastic. They're learning from Henrik Carlsen and from Gukesh's dad. But enough about that. Those players are going to take a backseat to this game. Megan is white. She has to win. She's played a much more solid opening, and we're going to see some sort of Queen's Gambit or what do you call it? Queen's Gambit in reverse, I guess.
It looks like a collie. Megan doesn't have to win. She just needs a draw. Wiktor has to win.
Right.
And white's playing very solid, not playing for an advantage, just playing for a position where it's difficult for white to make a mistake. Position's pretty equal. And Wiktor's going to have to force the action. And as per usual, Megan's playing more quickly. Megan's trading a lot of pieces. She definitely knows that if she draws, she wins the match. This position is very equal, very solid. There's not a lot of winning plans for either side. And Wiktor's going to have to change that, do something interesting so that he has a chance for Megan to make a mistake. Megan's going to play c4 at some point, and they'll trade the pawns. And they'll have, okay, she took on c6 first, c4, very equal position. And I think both players are happy. It's nice when you have black that you're not worse out of the opening. And it's nice when you only need a draw to have a very equal position. Although I think white is playing a little passively, giving Wiktor the center. And again, Wiktor has a lot less time on the clock, which we've seen in every game. Both sides are very solid. So this game, all three results are possible. And if Megan wins or draws, we have an all North American final. If Wiktor wins this game, we're going to have playoffs. We're going to have more chess. That's more rest for Aaron. He gets to watch them tire themselves out while he waits for the final. Looks like more trading is happening. Wiktor wants to trade bishops, get rid of white's excellent bishop on b2. And already white has a 40-second time advantage, which may hurt Wiktor later in the game.
Yeah, knight f5 might be coming. I think the overriding concept of this game is, do these center pawns, we call them the snowplow in ChessKid land, are they a strength or are they a target? I think they've been a little bit more of a target than anything else, but there's just no major deficiencies in Megan's position, and it's going to be tough to pull this out. Now, black can create a passed pawn. A question is going to be whether or not the pawn can be blockaded. And if too many pieces are traded, there may not be a lot left to blockade, but that's definitely black's plan. Black is going to play d4, hope the pawn doesn't get stuck, and at least Wiktor has something to play for. We don't have pawn symmetry, and that's good news for Wiktor when it's win or go home. He could care less about a draw in this position.
That's right. And Wiktor knows what the situation is, knows he has to win, and probably going to keep his pawns on e5 and d5 for a while, make Megan worry about d4 later. He's probably not going to do it right away. Megan put a lot of pieces controlling d4 to prevent black from playing d4. And not easy for black to win unless black does play d4 and get a passed pawn, which Megan is preventing. And Megan can get her own majority going by playing b4, b5, a4, and getting counterplay on the queen side. So we'll see if Megan puts the rook on d1 passively to stop d4, or she starts playing aggressively on the queen side, pushing her queen side pawns, trying to get a passed pawn herself. Megan still has a big time advantage. And again, Wiktor has to win. It's a must-win situation, which he did last game. Can he do it again and force the playoff? Or is Megan going to go to the finals?
I like that she played solidly just to show one line. Wiktor was goading her into playing this move because now after d4 takes, the pawn is scary and you better not take because queen e1 check. And when the king moves, everything hangs after queen e5. So just to show you, she does have to be a little bit careful because if she goes for too much and doesn't play solidly, bad things will happen. And like you said, Ben, I love what you said. Black is waiting for the right moment to play d4. And that was one of the sort of bananas she might have slipped on, but she did not.
Yeah, now Victor's attacking the knight. Huge time advantage for Megan. Position is equal. Black has to watch out for the e5 pawn. The white queen on b2 is eyeing it. He puts his queen back on e6, defending both of his center pawns. And in the last 5 or 6 moves, nothing much has happened except Victor's time disadvantage has gotten worse. So we'll see if Megan can punish Victor for playing too slowly this game. And so far, position's been pretty equal most of the game. Nobody's been in serious trouble. So Megan's pretty happy with her time advantage, equal position. And at some point, Victor's going to have to play d4 and see it. And he played d4 now, try to get some action with the passed d pawn. It gives away the c4 square. Megan's knight is very strong on c4, but we'll see if Black's d pawn is even stronger. Fortunately, Victor only has 23 seconds left.
I'm a little surprised that he traded rooks. I thought keeping the rook on the d file was the way to go, but apparently he thought maybe his a7 pawn was hanging. We're getting a little bit low on pieces. The queen is a decent blockader. Now, the knight couldn't go to c4 there because queen b1 check may have been a concern. So the knight goes back. The pawn looks like it has to come forward again, but this is the existential question we were expecting. Can white blockade that pawn when it becomes passed? And whoa, what do we have here? Knight h5, not guarding the pawn.
Yeah, after
I
d3,
can't say I
the knight
understand.
can go to e1 or b4, and Black has queen e2, which is too confusing for me. So I think actually White had to play knight e3 there. I think Black thought he was losing his pawn anyway, so he's trying to get active play, threatening mate. Okay, Black wins the pawn back. Game's very equal, 4 pawns each. Victor has 12 seconds left. Victor was forced to play f6 to avoid perpetual check.
Yeah,
White's
Black
still
is going to
gonna
have g5 in case of queen d2, so there's no perpetual.
Very difficult for Black to win because White has so many checks. A6 and f6 pawns are both weak.
Yep. The good news is that there was no immediate perpetual, and there's enough pawns where the king can hide a little bit. But you're right. If the queen goes gallivanting and tries to win the a2 pawn, then comes the mountain of checks that are almost impossible to calculate with 3 seconds left. You're really just rolling the dice and hoping there's no perpetual if you start taking pawns. And here we go. A little shelter is built. Maybe just play a4 here. a4 was played. Really hard. But actually, the king
one ending, but Black has to win. Now it seems like White has the better chances because White has an outside passed pawn. Somehow White could check and force a queen trade.
We have mate on the board.
Didn't see that.
Yeah, that's always a danger. You walk into mate. That's the way to go. Now, full credit for Victor for just throwing everything up the board. He had to try for something, but he walked into a mate. And Megan looks completely expressionless. She knows she's still got a big mountain to climb. But congratulations to Victor, our #1 point scorer yesterday, but goes down against the FM elect, if we can invent that term, Megan Paragua of USA. And you said it, Ben, it's going to be an all North American final. And our chat was correct. Our chat thought we would see this final. And indeed, we have Megan versus Aaron in the final.
I remember in the morning group, the chat was not right when they predicted who would win the group. Today they improved by watching all the chess. They got a better idea who the players are, and they were on fire today predicting the finals.
Yeah, and I'm so excited to see Megan make it to a finals because she's played in several of our premier knockout events before, and she's almost always had first round upsets where she was the lower seed, but she's never been able, I don't think, to make it to the final. When Aaron won in 2023, she made it to the semifinal, but was on the other side of the bracket. So this has been a long time coming. They're both about the same age. Maybe they've met on the junior circuit. I'll research that during our break, but there we see it. Aaron Mendez of Toronto, I think I said that right for all my Ontario friends, and Megan Paragua of Columbia Grammar, coached by Grandmaster Joel Benjamin. So we've got some real stars here playing in the finals. It will be a best of 6 series. That is a bit of an expansion from last year when it was only best of 4. First place is $1,500. Second place is $1,000. So there's an extra $500 on the line for this one. But I'm sure they both want to be the champion. So we're going to take it to break. We're going to give these players a little bit of a chance to breathe. And then when they come back, best of 6 finals, Megan Paragua of USA, Aaron Mendez of Canada. Come back and see who will be the 2025 ChessKid Youth Champion under 13.
Join the community club on Chess.com and participate in amazing community events every week. On Mondays, challenge yourself with incredible openings in Opening Roulette. Don't miss on Title Tuesday every week right after Title Tuesday. On Wednesday, join Arena Kings and compete against a lineup of legendary creators. On Fridays, try the all-new Community Freestyle Fridays and throw opening theory out the window. And finally, round out the week by showing off your speed in the Community Bullet Brawl. Win prizes, battle legends, and challenge yourself. Play in the community tournaments every week on Chess.com.
We have some ChatGPT questions for you, so you're just going to hold them, read them, and answer them.
Okay. Oof. Chess is often described as a game of deep strategy. How do you stay focused and avoid burnout after intense training sessions or games? I think like having a break from chess sometimes, because if you're just playing nonstop, which I sometimes tend to do, you can really get burned out and then lose motivation, and then you sit at the board wondering why you're there. And that's usually a bad sign for your chess. So definitely taking a break sometimes. What was the moment you realized you could become one of the top chess players in the world? I think that it was a kind of a process that took a while for me after my teenage years, because there were moments when I was not so confident and when I wasn't sure about my improvement. And then probably like the pivotal moment was 2012, when I did really well in a tournament and I rose in the rankings in the Tata Steel tournament in 2012. And then after that, things kind of went well for that year, and that was probably the moment. But I was already between 19 and 20 that year. And I had already had success, but there's definitely a difference between having success and then having the success to become one of the best players. In your view, what separates the world's best players from the rest? I think a lot is very circumstantial too, and it's like very fine details. So it's not like one specific thing. A lot of it is psychological things like being able to deal with disappointments and losses, which come inevitably, and also motivation, which is very individual. But you really need that motivation to stay, just even to play and not to get depressed. Playing chess tournament after tournament, sometimes dealing with a lot of disappointments, sometimes having a lot of successes. Don't get too down on yourself when you're doing badly. That's definitely a big part of it. But there's like a million details. You've had a career that spans so many years. What has been the most significant evolution you've noticed in your own game over time? Well, I think for me, it's probably different for everyone, but as I've gotten more experience and a bit older, I've definitely gotten a bit more intuitive and perhaps also lost a bit of the intensity that I had when I was younger and maybe a bit weaker and lacked the understanding, but compensated a bit more with intensity. So that's a bit of a trade-off, I think, for players who have played for a long time. If you could change one rule or aspect of competitive chess, what would it be and why? I don't know what I would change. I would definitely change never-ending tiebreaks, so we don't have any split world championships anymore.
I chose to play the Sicilian as my main weapon with black about 35 years ago. E4, C5. C5 is an excellent move that controls the D4 square, and when white plays D4, we're ready to capture it. This is, of course, on the Sicilian, and I think it's a really good opening for beginner and intermediate players. A lot of lower-level club players only know e4, e5. You'll have excellent chances out of the opening, and I chose the variations carefully based on my own experience of playing the Sicilian. Knight b5, we play queen b4. Now our queen can escape to a5, which defends c7. It looks good to fork the pieces, but after king d8, all of white's pieces are attacked. So knight takes, queen takes c3 check, attacking the king. We're going to take the bishop next move. Black has an extra pawn, and this knight is trapped.
Welcome back, everybody, to the moment you've been waiting for, the match you've been waiting for, the finals of the 2025 ChessKid Youth Championship. Fun Master Mike, joined by my BFF, Ben Feingold Forever. He is going to help me call the match, and we have an all-North American final. They're only an Amtrak ride away, at least I think. New York City resident Megan Paragua against Torontonian Aaron Mendez, the only IM in the field. Ben, there we see it. Who impressed you more in the semifinals?
They were both very impressive. Megan won the last game, which she couldn't afford to lose, which was excellent. Aaron, I think, dominated his match. Probably a little more dominating from Aaron, although his opponent was playing at 1, 2 in the morning, so he had that slight advantage. Aaron's the only IM in the event, so he's got to be the favorite in the finals, but it's blitz chess. Nothing would surprise me. Megan's also technically an FM, getting over 2,300 FIDE, and either player can win. And it's very exciting to watch because we have two North American players. It's the same time zone for them, and everything is on the up and up.
Almost certainly both future members of their national teams. Let's take a look at the prizes. The players that were eliminated just a few minutes ago still get $500 each, but these two players are playing for a $1,500 first prize. It should be said US dollars. That'll make you happy, Aaron Mendez. Second place still, though, is $1,000. Pretty good payday. And even with inflation, I'm sure that these players can maybe buy the newest iPhone. Actually, I'm not sure about that. Every time I ask a kid, though, what they're going to do with their prize money, they never actually have a great answer. I think kids just save and play chess. But maybe we can get something out of them. Maybe we can finally get a kid to admit what they would actually be purchasing. Best of 6. We will play more chess if we are tied 3-3. And Ben, it should be noted, this is actually the second chance that Megan has to knock Aaron out of the tournament, because they were in the same pool yesterday. And in round 10, had Megan won, she would have eclipsed Aaron for this second qualification spot. She wasn't able to do so. So this is also Aaron's second chance he's had to knock Megan out of the tournament. First time wasn't good enough. Here we go, though. Megan takes white, and we have a d4, d5 opening. She played e3, and she's playing this, what do you call it, a Kali?
Yeah.
Very
she
modest
plays it very
opening.
passively with bishop e2, but I think she's playing like the Zukertort Kali with b3, bishop b2, which I also play occasionally. Usually black can equalize, but white just wants to get a chess position and play chess.
Exactly. At least she played c4 this time in game 4 that we just saw her play. Actually, it was black pressing a little bit with the 2 pawns. Now we have this kind of a theme of our weekend. We have the hanging pawns here on c4 and d4. Nobody played them better or against them better than Karpov. I've got a ChessKid video on them, and I mentioned this yesterday. I can't even highlight them both because the players are playing so quickly, but you need to be really careful about advancing one too early, because then they both get stuck. I will say Wiktor did a fantastic job of keeping his pawns side by side for a long time before finally advancing them in game 4 that we just saw.
And I think it's fitting in a blitz tournament that the two fastest players are playing in the final. It seems like Aaron and Megan both had time advantages in all of their semifinals games. So they're both playing super fastest.
That's a good observation. She chose to keep that strong knight on the board. You agree with that decision to not trade knights?
Yeah, the knight's not great on b3. The knight's good on e4, but this position's about equal, and I think it's more about the hanging pawns than where the knights are. Now black is threatening to ruin White's pawn structure. Okay, and she played c5, which is a very exciting move. It might not be good, but it's exciting.
Yep, and we did say that the key moment in all these hanging pawns games is when the pawns push. Are they going to be a nuisance, or are they just going to be a fixed target wearing concrete boots, as we say on ChessKid, not able to move? They look like a liability right now, Ben. I don't like what has happened to the white pawn structure.
No, and I think Megan should have taken on d6 instead of taking the bishop, because then she's threatening to take on e7 and fork the rook and knight. Now her pawn structure is a disaster. Typically, in this tournament, Megan has been way ahead on the clock in these positions, but Aaron's playing very quickly.
Rook takes knight.
So, good play, rook takes knight. I'd be afraid because of the passed c pawn.
Yeah, this is a problem. You're right. Computer says no.
Yeah.
Apparently, I was way too materialistic and forgot about the strength of the c pawn.
Yeah, that White's position is just a terrible pawn structure. White's king is exposed. Black doesn't really want to go into an ending. Instead, Black attacks the f3 pawn. The queen on a1 is out of play. The Black knight can easily go to g6 and then either f4 or h4. And White's king is in a lot of trouble. So this position is excellent for Black. Time situation is about the same. So far, advantage out of the opening and middle game goes to Aaron.
Almost like a freestyle chess position. Why is her queen on a1? Her queen should be anywhere else on the board to help guard the f3 pawn, but it's not. And Ben, Aaron is using your idea, getting the knight in the game, going after the holes created by the g pawn, becoming an f pawn that weakens both of these squares. And yeah, her king's not looking so good, but she does get her queen back in the game.
Yeah, she stops knight f4. Her queen can go back to the king side or center, getting off of a1. Unfortunately, for the next 10, 15 moves, White's pawn structure is going to be terrible. There's no changing that. And things are looking good for Aaron. Megan's really on the defense. This position has to stop knight f4, knight h4, has to defend all of her weak pawns. And bishop on b2 isn't very active. d4 pawn is isolated and weak. She played king h1, putting her king in the corner. Nobody puts my king in the corner. 80s movies references. So I don't know. Also, I'm not sure if that's 80s or 90s.
I think it's 80s. It was filmed in my state. Dirty Dancing, that is. And to the people of Lake Lower, we hope you recover.
Wow,
yeah. But yeah, her king is tucked away. The queen is in the prime spot to guard everything. The problem is your best piece is simply playing defense here. And the first pawn goes down. In fact, the queen could just come right back to d5. And then White has all of the same problems that she had a minute ago with the problem of stopping the a pawn in the long term. So things are mounting here for her. She's got to guard the bishops. So that's of immediate concern.
Yeah, this position's very bad for White. White, first time I've said this, Megan has a big time disadvantage. Obviously doesn't like her position. Usually doesn't show it on her face. Looks the same whether she wins or loses. The same goes for Aaron. And so far, game one is all Aaron.
Yeah, the king can't even run to g2 because knight h4, and he's going to have to run further, although she's going to take her chances with that because maybe she traps the black knight or something. She did not want to self-pin with bishop e1. She did not want to trade queens with queen e1. I think her entire center would collapse if she had to start retreating. So here comes the king walk. And now Aaron's trying to figure out, should I give a check right away? Should I play f4? What are some other candidate ideas for black here?
Knight h4 check, and the idea is to play queen g1, and if king takes knight, queen h2 check, king g5, bishop h6 wins the queen. Probably there's a mate too, but winning the queen is good enough.
I lost you there. So the next move you want to play is queen takes?
Yeah, king g5, bishop h6. And
yeah, probably I agree. There's probably a mate.
But yeah, in fact, although that's not mate. There's got to be a mate, but winning the queen is good enough for me.
Absolutely. And by the way, we're not just being lazy here. If you were actually playing a blitz game and you saw that, you would go into it. You wouldn't take time on your clock to find the mate. So we're not going to take our time because our time's valuable. But yeah, here we go. The a pawn is a nuisance. Black doesn't even go for the checkmate. And very tough to see how Megan can create any counterplay. But she's looking. She did have some games yesterday where she understood when you're completely lost, just throw some stuff at your opponent, give away material. I wonder if she's looking for a way to do something like that here.
Well, she caught up on time. That's the first hurdle. Now she has to somehow get her position to be a little bit better.
And we may have already put in the chat some sort of poll. I'm not quite sure, but tell us in the chat who you think is going to win. I know you might be a little bit biased by this first result. I know that one game can mean so much in a 6-game match, but nonetheless, you may have already voted. Shout out to my team who's been all over the chat, as they always are. And Akshansh, you're all over it. So I'm sure you've already done it, Akshansh. But
yeah, it seems
back to our game here.
We have the live game on a separate board to the right. Looks like a completely drawn endgame now. The game changed a lot. This one is stuck for some reason.
That's on me. I was in analysis mode. I got too excited, and I think I've got the live position now. Knight G1, and wow, a lot has happened. I apologize to our viewers. We don't exactly know. I was too excited about talking to our chat. Can she pull this out with the extra H pawn? Looks pretty good. She complete Houdini act by Megan.
Yeah, her time situation's fine. She's ahead 2 pawns. Pawn structure still not good, but better to be up 2 pawns than down 2 pawns.
When this game ends, I might try to go back to the critical moment for a second just to see exactly how she made a comeback. Because, I mean, this is, extracting a win from the jaws of defeat. She hasn't quite won it yet, but, I mean, she could lose all 3 of her pawns and still draw. So she's playing for 2 results in the most literal way.
Yeah, and this should be a win for White, but it looks like it's going to take 20 or 30 moves. And obviously it's a blitz game, so you don't have any time to figure out the right plan. Black has a pretty solid defensive setup, so it's not easy to win.
Yeah, maybe the right plan was to put actually, the computer says the 2 pawns are winning. This is unfortunate for Black in that you can't sack your knight for 1 pawn because there's another one remaining, although there's a bit of a blockade going on, and knight f6 was stopped, but now comes a million checks, perhaps?
Yeah, he could have checked on d3 and the pawn on f4 also, but he's repeating.
Yep. And the problem for her is she can't play king e6 because king takes f4 is a draw. But no, he plays this. Okay.
Yeah, this is also drawing. Yep. Wow, very exciting game. Both sides were winning.
Yeah, that was a safer way to draw because Aaron's
after a game. That's the first time.
Okay, I'm just going to take a moment here and go back to, like, for example, this position where he was completely winning after knight c5 and after knight back. I suppose he should have actually, what should he have done in this
He
position?
played rook a5 here and stop rook takes a4.
Rook a5. And then if knight takes, the knight is in a terrible pin.
Yeah.
And really hard to get out of that pin because you
engine likes Black because the white knight is pinned forever.
Yeah, going to be really tough to get out of the pin. Rook a2, knight c3 takes a while, and I think Black can make some improvement moves in the meantime. So she collected the pawn, and that was the big nuisance. And then she almost won, but I think a draw is actually a pretty fair result there. Mm-hmm. But a sigh of relief from Megan and her family. She will now take Black in game 2.
Yeah, White was losing, Black was losing, and the game ended in a draw. That's blitz chess for you. A very exciting start to our finals match. And it's getting very tense. Like both players are getting tense now.
Yep, and I think Aaron will play a little bit more uncompromising as White, and Megan's playing a little more uncompromising as Black. She played knight f6 stuff in her semifinals match and allowed this e5 stuff. Let's see if she plays it again. But we have a b3 Sicilian. We saw this once yesterday. Again, I'm an old man. I can't remember if it was Aaron that played it. I think it was somebody else, actually.
Yeah, I think Wiktor actually played b3 Sicilian yesterday.
And does it have a name, or is it just called the b3 Sicilian?
Yeah, I think it's just the b3 Sicilian.
Okay, nobody wants to put their name on it. So if we have any strong players out there in the chat who start playing b3 a lot, that's the opening you can get your name behind.
All right, so we have opposite side castling. Hopefully both sides checkmate each other at the exact same time. The game is declared a draw by the arbiter.
Yes, we actually do have an arbiter on staff, but hopefully we won't need her. Aaron is actually chosen by 80% of the community to win. They may have been slightly influenced by that game 1. I don't know if we run this poll back, if they'll say, hey, Megan's speed and her resourcefulness should get her a little bit past that 20% mark, or maybe we just have a lot of Canadians joining us today. Not quite sure. So The Chess Bras have spammed our chat. Welcome, Chess Bras.
Go Chess Bras.
Okay, Queen D7 not liked. D6 looks like a target. So Aaron has this decision. I think when Aaron's had the choice to go nuts for an attack or to play positionally, I've seen him play positionally this weekend. I don't know what that means in this game, but maybe he won't just chuck all of his pawns at black and he'll go for the weakness on the D6 square or something like this.
Yeah, Megan got in B5. She has a big attack against White's king. The engine says Black's attack is better than White's. Very exciting. Bishop on E7 for Megan is doing a good job stopping the white pawns from advancing on the king's side. White played G5 anyway, sacrificing the G pawn to open the G line. If Black doesn't take, White can play F6, or Bishop takes G7. And Black is considering whether to take on C4, take on G5, or play A4 and try to open up the queen side. In a blitz game, you can't calculate everything. You just have to use your best judgment, calculate a little, and hope that things work out.
Yeah, you just named about 4 moves there, Ben. Would you really calculate 4 moves? Or if you liked A4, would you just go ahead and play it?
I mean, I would seriously look at A4 and Bishop takes G5. And Megan took a lot of time there, which I probably would have also. Now White can play B4 and try to keep things bottled up, or White can go crazy and play G6. And the arbiter is going to stop the game because it's too exciting.
Perhaps, we hope not. This is one time for Aaron to uncork his skills and try to play aggressively because he realizes she's got very active rooks after the A pawn trades for the B pawn. Computer doesn't like that exchange, but I do like Aaron's idea of mixing it up with this move G6. Now, will she take the pawn or hide behind it? I think she'll hide behind it, but I don't know. We'll see if she takes this pawn or not.
Again, we can't calculate for several minutes, which we would do in a slow game. The players are just guessing. They're trying their best. Megan played like you. Typical American play, being blocked by the F pawn. F pawn being there actually helps Black. It blocks the F file. Black's opening the queen side files for her attack. She can play queen A7, or she can take the pawn on F5. I don't really see another move. Or she'll play another move just to show me. Okay, queen A7. I was right for once. Here comes the black queen. The king doesn't want to go to C2 because Black plays rook C8. That's very annoying, but looks like White's going to have no choice soon.
Okay, rook G1, continuing the theme of counterattacking. Should be noted that bishop takes G7 is not death. The king takes on F7 and there's no mate. But she just stops that whole idea together. The bishop on B2 is pinned. I actually thought the king might go to C1, but maybe his king walked here to give his king a little bit more breathing room. And yeah, White is in all kinds of tangled up problems here. Rook C8 is still a problem. B3 is weak. Queen takes B2 is a checkmate threat. And this is all a matter of speed.
Black can play knight takes B3, and if knight takes B3, rook C8, and she did do that. And this looks almost over. Looks like Black's attack came through before White's did.
Exactly right. What do you do here? Oh my goodness. Knight takes knight is still possible if you trade queens. No big deal. You're still winning a piece, it looks like, because the king is actually the overworked piece trying to guard too many things.
This actually exemplifies why you suggested king F8. Black could play king takes F7. White would have queen takes E6 check, all kinds of attack. Instead, White has no attack. Black is crashing through. Looks like Megan's going to win the game. White doesn't really have a good move here. Time is about the same, and there's just nothing for White to do. Black is crashing through.
Yeah, there might be some kind of fancy mate where you play knight E2 check, rook takes, and then knight E2 check. Let's see if that's what happens here. This actually looks maybe a little bit better. Maybe she's just winning a piece in this variation. Unless knight C4 holds some things, but now that loses a piece in a different way. Rook takes, and things are going from bad to worse.
Yeah, Black is just up too much material here.
Right. Do you see a winning line, though?
There's a funny perpetual that I see if Black takes the rook and then takes the G1 rook, White, which looks like it's happening, but White can play queen C8, queen E6. I think that's a perpetual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely feels like a perpetual, unless the king can walk, but I think she's just not going to go into that. Oh, queen takes
a knight E2 check. The truth hurts.
Exactly. So we'll get rid of that screen and just show you what would have happened if the king had taken. Now, our viewers, though, were probably able to see this one on their own. She was going to be up two minor pieces. And Megan, after it looks like she might have been down 1-0, she holds the draw in game one. She plays a very convincing game, maybe one of her best in the tournament in game two. And you know what, Ben? I'm going to say that we have a little bit of a style thing here. I think Megan, despite the fact that she's playing the Kali, she actually feels pretty comfortable in imbalanced positions. I think that's where she shines. Whereas Aaron, I've seen him try to keep things a little bit more, static and everything. That time, I totally agree. He had to go crazy on the king side, but her position was just a little bit faster. She broke through first.
Yeah, that was a very exciting game. I hope we see more opposite side castling games and attacks. That was great for the spectators. Probably tough for the players. They have to do a lot of calculation every move. They don't have any time on their clock. But the spectators thank the players for playing such an interesting game.
Yeah, it's really great to see. And for those of you out there who are fans of Megan's play, and you should be after that game, you can actually see her in action next weekend. She will be playing in the K-12 section, despite the fact that she's a sixth grader at this Super Nationals event, Team Columbia Grammar. And she'll be teammates actually with Tani, who is also a member of the Columbia Grammar Prep School. So yeah, catch Megan there. But don't ask her for her autograph in the middle of a game, because not allowed to do that. But we might have opposite sides castling again, Ben.
Yeah, Megan played queen takes d4 in the Sicilian, which I play. Before rook he1, I've actually had that position. I play something else. Yeah, white usually tries to get an attack. Black tries to be very solid and have two bishops. Engine slightly prefers white. And it doesn't like queen d2. Usually it plans to play knight d4, start pushing your kingside pawns. That's what she did. Completely normal. I expect f4. Engine, f3. Never play f3. She wants to play g4. So she plays a different way. And yeah, we're going to have, if black ever castles, we're going to have opposite side castling again. And I think that's just Megan's game. I think that's what she likes. Let's pressure on d6. Engine doesn't like that either. And we have a very sharp Sicilian where, again, there's no time to calculate everything. We're just guessing. Black blocks the bishop on g3, giving up a lot of control of f5 and d5. And knight f5 was played. Now the white knight has e4 and d5 squares. Black's bishop on e7 is quite bad. And black is going to try to just hold and play simple chess and not lose anything. And white's going to have domination in the center and the white squares. And white's going to make sure black never gets in queen takes c2 check. White has a much better position. White has better chances for an attack on the king side. This opening and middle game has gone Megan's way. Aaron wants to trade queens because of white's upcoming attack, h4, g5. And now Megan is going to target all those black queenside pawns. And white has an advantage. The d6 pawn is very weak. Rook ed2 is going to come. And black is stuck in defensive mode. So good position for Megan.
Yeah, she's going to have fun toying with these pawns like a cat with a mouse. I love this interpolation, bishop a5, which forced the rook off of the d file. Then she went back. Then the pawn wasn't able to move forward. That was a couple of moves ago. But that shows some great moxie and some great understanding of in-between moves. She can just sit on this position for a while. She can walk her king to e4 before doing anything aggressive. This is a very fun position to play in a blitz game.
And you would know, you're Fun Master Mike, so you know when things are fun.
I do know. And you know how to play fast chess. I meant to bring this up earlier, Ben, but if anybody has never seen Ben play over the board bullet, Ben, I think you're like one of the best 20 players in the world in over the board bullet.
I think that statement would have been correct 10 years ago. Now I decline to answer.
Okay, well, it's been about 10 years since we both used to hang out in St. Louis, so there you go.
That's
My
right.
information's old, but we're going to give you top 50. Okay, big decision here. Do you play g6 and fix more pawns on dark squares? In fact, they traded. I kind of like keeping as many pawns on the board as possible.
Yeah, white wanted to enter on the G file. Black is entering on the H file. Now, white has weak pawns on F3 and F5. White plays F4. trying to trade one of the weak pawns off. Engine likes that. If I was black, I would take on f4. I don't want white to take on e5, get a passed f pawn. He throws in a check first, always play king b1. And again, this position isn't really fun for black. Black is stuck defending pawn on d6. White's rooks are very active, and black is trying hard as they can to win the f5 pawn, which looks like it might come to fruition. Then the tables maybe will turn.
Yeah, I can say even before the rook got to f2, things were already transitioning to black's favor because black was managing to not lose any of the weak pawns and, in fact, trade off pawns and have fewer pawns to worry about. Black has held on to everything and gotten the active rook, one of the key moments, key things to think about in endgames. Also, the players have a lot more time than any other endgame of this nature that we've seen. It just really goes to show you how quickly they've been playing. And most other games where we've gotten a position of this few pieces, the players have had like 10 seconds left. So a little bit more time to think, but these pawns are about to become mobile. Don't push yet, though. You'll lose your bishop on e7.
Always play bishop f8. Yeah, black has an extra pawn. White's pieces are still very good. White has a safe king. But black has more time. Black's pawns are becoming mobile. And it looks like things went awry. And I really want to give kudos to Aaron for earlier in the game when he played queen c4, realizing keeping the queens on was going to be bad for his king. Now his king is up the board, and it's an end game, so that's advantage Aaron. And black should be winning here technically, but with so few pawns on the board, sometimes these rook endings turn into a draw. And as we saw earlier today and yesterday, Megan's really good at rook and pawn endgames.
Very good point, Ben, about the strategic understanding of queen c4. If Aaron is able to convert with this extra pawn, we will have an even match. No matter what happens, we know we'll have a new winner this year. Yej Erdemus won the under 13 and the under 16 last year. That was crazy, but he got a little bit too old. He'll be playing in the under 16, but right now we're looking at the under 13 2025 ChessKid Youth Championship. USA, Megan Paragua, white. Canada, Aaron Mendez is black. And Aaron is just looking to advance the pawns, make sure that these two white rooks don't coordinate. After rook to e8, he can put one of his rooks on e6. That's the key idea. Now, does the king go in front of the pawn? I guess it has to guard this pawn. Oh, he trades rooks, even better.
Yeah, king d5 was an excellent move because the rooks can block on e6 and d6. And black has two passed pawns on the d and e files. Should be a technical win, but it's blitz chess. Luckily for Aaron, he has a lot more time on the clock. Don't say that a lot when Megan is playing. Black's center pawns are too strong, so I expect Aaron to finish this off and tie up the match.
Yeah, importantly for Megan, she's giving herself chances by keeping rooks on the board. If any set of rooks leaves the board, she has basically no chance because the black king doesn't have to worry about anything. I'm not saying that there's a perpetual, but you at least give yourself some sort of chance by keeping some rooks on the board. For example, here, you could start checking the king. Well, rook g2, king f3, and then the rooks are leaving the board. So good job by black understanding that, getting some rooks off the board.
Yeah, Megan has 3 seconds left and is completely losing.
Oh, she tried a little blitz move, rook g6 in case black pre-moved.
My dad taught me that when I was a kid. If you're in a dead loss rook and pawn ending, move your rook around randomly and then oppose rooks.
Okay, I won't ask if is there over the board tricks too?
I did that over the board against Shabalov and it worked. And I took his rook and his passed pawns were so strong he won anyway. I did it too late.
Okay, well, Aaron did not fall for such shenanigans. Aaron was able to duly win that winning position. 1.5 to 1.5. It has been a really exciting final so far. Basically, nothing has happened, and yet everything has happened. We're right back where we started. It's tied. We've got 3 more games to go. When we come back from this break, Aaron will get 2 out of those 3 games with white, and we will see who is able to emerge victorious. If we end up tied 3-3, we'll play even more chess. Come back after this break for the exciting conclusion of the 2025 ChessKid Youth Championship, USA versus Canada.
have some ChatGPT questions,
Okay.
which you can read and then, just show to the camera.
All right, thank you. You have been at the top of the chess world for many years. What has kept you motivated to continue pushing for excellence, even achieving so much? I am a very curious person, and I just want to know and want to see what happens. I am enjoying the game of chess a lot, especially the freestyle chess, and I am a person who accepts my drawbacks as a chess player, and I want to learn and improve. And that's what actually keeps me going. You have faced against some of the strongest players of your generation. Who has been the most difficult opponent for you and why? The most difficult opponent for me, I had many difficult opponents, but definitely Magnus is one of the difficult opponents because he's a fierce opponent. He's not a person who is satisfied with having like an easy game. He wants to fight in every single game, and that has been educational and also very interesting. Another tough opponent for me has been traditionally Vladimir Kramnik because, well, it's just in the openings, he was giving me nightmares. Yeah. It was always difficult to play against him. Yeah. Your matchups with Magnus Carlsen have been intense. What do you consider the biggest challenge when facing him? And how do you mentally prepare for such high-level encounters? I'm always excited to play against him. So even though, I haven't been too successful on facing him, but I've got some. I managed to win some games. I think our score in classical chess is, I think he won 18 and I won 8, or I don't know, something similar, yes. So it's pretty embarrassing, but I still want it because I enjoy challenge. The way I was preparing, I think intense battles require, when you feel your opponent is here to play very intensely and challenge you, you just need to kind of be relaxed and just get away from the emotional point of it. Because of course it's unpleasant. Throughout the years you're playing, everybody gives you respect, and here's a guy who wants to beat you. And if you let it go into your mind, it's going to be tough, to challenge it. So yeah, whenever I relaxed against Magnus, I think I played well.
Wear your love of chess on your sleeve with all new apparel and accessories from the Chess.com merch store. Maybe you simply want a clock that will never run out, or a mouse pad that will finally unlock your speed chess potential. Whether you play chess to get energized with your morning coffee, or play into the wee hours of the night and witness the occasional alien abduction, we've got something for every king, queen, and knight in shining armor. Even gift cards for your loved ones who've caught the chess bug. So check out the Chess.com shop for apparel, accessories, and more. Grab your favorites before they're gone.
Your brain is a supercomputer capable of millions and millions of complex calculations and decisions. But your brain needs exercise, practice to keep it sharp and incisive. Chess puzzles are a great way to work out your brain. Daily puzzle solving makes your mind fit, building pattern recognition, critical thinking, and memory. Doing puzzles every day makes your mind fit, helping you build creativity, problem solving, and memory skills. Puzzles on Chess.com feature hundreds of thousands of original, beautiful problems tailored to your level. Whether you've never played before or you're a veteran, whatever level you're at, Chess.com's coach will help explain both the puzzle and the solution so you learn as you go. Most importantly, Chess.com puzzles are fun. Find interesting, beautiful solutions while building streaks, leveling up, and competing with friends. Try puzzles today on Chess.com and give your brain the exercise it's craving.
Welcome back, everybody. The final 3 games, if there's not bonus chess, of the 2025 ChessKid Youth Championships. So far, we are tied 1.5 to 1.5. And I am tied with microphone usage with Grandmaster Ben Feingold here to help me call the finals. Aaron versus Megan. They've both been super fast. There's been a couple of opposite sides castling positions 2 out of the 3 games. Ben, any predictions for the finals?
Prediction, pain. It's going to be exciting the last 3 games. Wonder if the players are going to be more nervous than usual. They don't show it. I'm getting nervous because I don't know who the favorite is. I guess there is no favorite. And I'm actually hoping for overtime. I want to see a 3-3 match, and I want to see the players suffer, play Armageddon. So I'm hoping for Armageddon. Good chances. The players are about the same strength. They're playing about the same, both playing quickly. I'm not really rooting for either player. I just want to see good, exciting chess. And that's what we've been seeing so far today.
All 3 games have been unpredictable. Megan was totally lost in game 1, ended up making a draw. We had that crazy upsides castling Sicilian in game 2. And then in game 3, Megan was slightly better, but then lost control of the end game and ended up losing. That's how we got to 1.5, 1.5. In Aaron's first iteration as white, he played e4 and ended up being a b3 Sicilian. Here, he's playing some sort of ready setup. He's totally changed his strategy against Megan.
Yeah, he's still playing b3, bishop b2, but he's playing a more solid, equalish kind of position. Looks like Megan could be white in this position too. Both players.
Yeah, this is repeat game 1. Yeah. That's fascinating. A little psychological idea. I mean, what Megan played in game 1, she put her queen on c2. He's actually playing the same thing, and it's not a common thing. I guess he likes the position. I doubt you would play something purely on psychological merit.
That's right. Traded on e4. The game got a lot more exciting. Black played f5. Black has a nice pawn structure in the center and king side. White's going to try to get a past d pawn. It's hard for Black to attack on the king side because most of Black's pieces are on the queen side. But I think Black's done well out of the opening. I like Megan's position. Bishop on e2 isn't very good. They're trading a lot of pieces now, and both playing super quickly. As I said earlier, that's why they're in the final, because you got to play good chess and you got to play fast chess. These two play not only very well, but they play very quickly. And White's trying to get a pass on the queen side. Excuse me?
Yeah, and then the knight b5 move started driving her backward. But I do want to say overall, the tenor of the position favors Aaron, because I think Aaron does a little bit better in these positions that are a little bit more concise, and Megan prefers a little bit more swashbuckling chess. So overall, dynamically, I think Aaron's gotten what he wanted from this game.
Yeah, White has an advantage by trading all of the pieces and making sure Black never gets a kingside attack with her kingside majority, and White's going to try to get a pass pawn on the queen side, and it's not easy for Black to get counterplay on the king side because there's so few pieces on the board. So we're going to see both sides maneuver their queen and minor pieces. White try to get in c5 at some point and see if they can put some pressure on Black's position. This position, I think White's threatening c5 because the e6 pawn and the bishop on b7. And I like that move because then the knight can take on c5 after bc, bc. White keeps advancing on the queen side. White has an excellent knight on d4, and Engine really likes White.
Yeah, and he's taking his time. By the way, one strategic thing he did a long time ago, after c takes d4, he did not take with the pawn because Megan could have played f4 and gone for the attack. So he's really doing a great job of not letting Megan be Megan.
That's right. Black doesn't have any kingside attack. White has the better endgame with better chances of getting a pass pawn, and that's probably going to happen in the next 3 moves. We're going to see White advancing on the queen side. White's king is pretty safe. Black has a big pawn storm on the king side, but it's not really leading to anywhere.
Yeah, black cannot play f4. In fact, 5 against 4 is a much harder pass pawn to make anyway than 3 against 2. But also, you just can't play f4 because your e5 pawn is pinned. So here we go, Ben. Megan can't hear me. Ben, you can. Ben, you've been calling for it for a while, but white finally advances and gets closer. In fact, white's being greedy here in a good way, trying not to just create a pass pawn, but trying to create 2 pass pawns by winning the a6 pawn if possible.
Yeah, the trading helps white because black's kingside majority isn't important when there's no pieces on the board. White's majority on the queen side is important because white's trying to promote a pawn to a queen. And white is obviously better here. And white actually has a lot more time. This particular match, Aaron has been playing faster than Megan at the beginning. Sometimes Megan catches up. Megan has a total blockade on the c5 pawn. The bishop's now pinned. White's threatening bishop b7 or bishop b5 winning. Megan moves her king out of the pin. h4 check. Is the king going to go up the board? Which probably not. Or back to h6 to safety.
One thing I want to point out, Ben,
like a kamikaze move. Yeah, king h6 seems better.
Megan would have preferred to keep her king closer to the action because if white trades queens, but the black king is close enough, the black king can collect the pawn. There are lines I'm already looking at where white can trade queens and then not stop the pawn because the king is so far away. But there was that big pin problem on the 6th rank.
Yeah, bishop b5 was a blunder, Mike, because now black can attack f2 pawn and start checking. I don't think white can escape. I think black has
queen
a
f3. Is that your suggestion? Queen f3, give the bishop and go for perpetual, Ben? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a draw now. Megan's thinking a long time, but she only has 14 seconds left, so she's got to go for the draw. She does. White has a huge time advantage. I don't see how white can stop black from perpetualing.
Well, queen takes, and then the queen is deprived of f1, but there must still be a perpetual. Either that or you just win every single pawn, but I think there's going to be a perpetual. And Megan is certainly hoping so because she did pitch the bishop, and she does not play queen f3 check. Okay, she takes, and she's going to collect a lot of pawns. And very interesting. Not an immediate perpetual, though, Ben.
That's right. I would have played queen f3 check, so if king g1, I take on g3 with check. But she wants the white king in the corner. And we could see 6 pass pawns in this game if black wins both of those pawns. Black will have 5 pass pawns and white will have 1. And black has a mating attack with just the queen. The queen and the e pawn coming, white has to be careful. Megan's only problem in this position is the time situation.
She could have had this position with the queen on c6, but she wasted a tempo, which allowed her to play e3, but the computer doesn't even like e3. Absolute craziness.
Now it says black is much better after bishop e2. It doesn't like that. And we have our 6 pass pawns. What else? The engine says black is still winning.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. How can you prepare for this with this few seconds on the clock? But 10 seconds is not 5 seconds. She's got a little bit of time to think. She's trying to figure out maybe to play f4 at some point and get more pawns in the game. I don't know what she's thinking, to be honest with you.
Both sides are playing for a win. And they draw by reputation. Yeah.
And I think that was the prudent decision because who knows what happens if you start advancing your pawns. You could lose the game by getting your king mated. White could advance the c pawn. Objectively, maybe black had chances, but that was a complete mess. Every single one of these games has been imbalanced. Even when Aaron tried to keep things a little bit more simple, Megan found a way. I sound like Jeff Goldblum. See, Megan finds a way.
That's right.
She always
is that 80s?
Jurassic Park, I think, was early 90s, but
No.
she, it also was the right decision, Ben, because she was totally losing when she lost control of the c pawn.
Right.
So a great decision there by Megan, and the match is still tied 2-2. 2 games left. Each player gets 1 more chance as white. This is as good as it gets.
Yeah, this match is super exciting. It's super close. All the games are exciting. We still have a couple draws somehow, even with all the pass pawns and material differential. And very exciting match. I don't know who the favorite is. I don't think there is one. And we're going to find out probably in the next 2 games who the champion is.
Absolutely. And if Megan was not already on your radar, shame on you for not reading Chess.com's news, our excellent news division. I believe maybe Anthony Levin wrote the article on that. Maybe it was Tarrier, but she just made the FM title, 2,500 performance in Granke, and youngest IM in history. Aaron Mendez is playing black. He got the title automatically conferred when he won the under 18 section of the North American Open in December last year, North American Youth Championship, sorry. And now we have a unique position for our games today, where C5 has been played early on. I think she played this once yesterday against the Caro.
Yeah, that's right. This is a Caro-Kann Panov Botvinnik attack, and White didn't play the main line after bishop g4, taking on d5 and queen b3. Instead, White played for an early c5, trying to get a grip on the queen side. And these are positions, I've played black Caro-Kann occasionally throughout my career, that I didn't like for black. I didn't know how to thwart the c5 pawn, although I had to do it on several occasions. And I guess Megan likes this a lot, but for some reason, Megan is thinking quite a long time in this position.
She may have disconnected. Her camera has gone away.
That makes more sense than taking a minute. Yeah,
you're exactly right. After about a 10-second thought, I thought, this is not the Megan we know. And in fact, I looked at her camera. So we're going to see if we can get her back. Obviously, we hope we do. And when we do that, we'll be able to conclude. She is not that silhouette, but everything happens in the internet world. Certainly it's happened to me as a commentator. So we're going to hope to bring her back. Now, Ben, when she played this line yesterday, I think it was against Aaron, actually, because I remember she played b4. And then Aaron had this really interesting rook toggle, and he sacked the exchange against her and got a good position. So I think what we're seeing is the one time that they played yesterday when Megan was white, it was early in the event, we saw this exact opening.
That's right. And Megan played the novelty by disconnecting. Didn't do that yesterday. But yeah, when you have online events, there's always some issues. And this game has been aborted, it says. So they're going to start over. Okay, cool. Restart the game later when everything is kosher. And the match is still tied. That position is not going to count. I wonder if they'll just make the same moves and get to the same position. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, here's the deal. They played this yesterday. Both of them probably reviewed that game at some level before today. So I think both of them are comfortable. Now, it would be fascinating if she disconnected and somebody had an obvious advantage. But I'm very glad to say eval bar is totally equal. They're both in their prep. I actually think they will. And I don't think that necessarily they're required to. I don't know what our rules are on that. I'm pretty sure they don't have to play the same moves. But I think they will, Ben, because I think they've both looked at this since they played this exact opening yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and hopefully we'll get Megan back soon, because we're already on pins and needles trying to see who's going to be the champion. And now we have a little delay, make everybody a little more nervous.
I'll give a funny thought experiment while we're waiting, Ben. Would you rather play Megan in a 3-1 match or her uncle, Mark Paragua? At this point in their career, who would you rather play?
I always pick the adults. I don't want to play kids. I just played in Charlotte in an all-adult tournament, and that was better than playing all these kids who beat me. So even if you asked me in a slow tournament, I would still pick Mark.
Wow, interesting. And shout out to Peter Giannatos and his Alto at least 21 events. I know a lot of people like playing in those events because they don't have all of these kids. And I'm going to say this in the most loving way. Kids are leeches when it comes to rating because they will take and they don't give. But Peter runs great events in Charlotte, and that's a cool one. I know that one's, even Ben Johnson came out of retirement to play in that event once.
Yeah, Alto event was fun. Actually, right before the Alto event, they had a chess camp just for adults too, which is pretty rare. And I taught at that one for a couple of days. They had several grandmasters as coaches, and the adults like that. They usually don't get a chance to go to chess camps. Usually those are for kids. So adults want to go too. So that was an interesting adults only weekend, and very exciting for everybody. Everybody had a good time.
That's great. And you didn't know this, Ben, but there's another adult camp or partially adult camp that Peter is hosting in Charlotte in June with grandmasters Judith Polgar, Veselin Topalov, and I might go. I will audit, meaning I don't have to do the real work, and write an article about it because I think it's pretty cool that you can actually attend a camp that Judith Polgar is teaching in the USA. I think registration is still open. I'm not just shilling for Peter. I mean, he's a buddy of mine. He's a Charlotte team. But if you have any interest at all in chess camp, you should go sign up for that one. Whatever the Charlotte Chess Center's website is, I'm sure you'll find it.
Yeah, those chess camps are usually very strong. The teachers are very strong. And again, as you pointed out, it's not often you see like super famous European grandmasters playing in the US or coaching, unless it's in St. Louis. Although in Judith's case, I don't remember her playing or coaching in St. Louis. So it's a real treat to see somebody who's the greatest female player of all time by far coaching you. And we get to see how strong she is still, even though she doesn't play in tournaments. She does a lot of commentary, often with Peter Lako on Chess.com. And it's excellent commentary. They're a great team. And I did know about this camp. They've had other camps with super GMs and famous players. And usually participants are very strong as well, just nowhere near as good as Judith.
And a funny story while we've got some time and trying to get Megan back on. I did go to the camp last year and interviewed Judith. And we all went out for dinner at a very nice Indian restaurant in Charlotte. And we were joined by all of the grandmasters in the camp, including Grandmaster Reyaansh, probably the most preeminent coach in India. And when it came time to order, many Indian restaurants, you just kind of order for the table. Judith had more input as far as what to order than Grandmaster Reyaansh, because we were at such a high-end Indian restaurant. I don't think all the dishes were maybe terribly common. Maybe it was like Indian fusion. But we all kind of looked to Reyaansh, like what to order. And I think he looked at the menu and was like, I don't really know what most of the stuff is. But Judith actually holidays a lot in India, so she knew her stuff. And, for me, it's all bindi, bhaji, and saag paneer. But she had a little bit more a variety to order.
Yeah, Indian food's awesome. I haven't had any since yesterday.
Well, we could probably fill up a whole show on that. And I've also learned the fastest way to double your Twitter following is to post pictures of Indian food when you're covering a tournament in India. But we are not doing that. We're covering the ChessKid Youth the ChessKid Youth Championship. We no longer call it the Youth Speed Chess Championship. I believe Megan is back online. We're going to resume the match. It's still 2-2. Megan will get white, and she's not actually required to play the same moves. Neither is Aaron Mendez as black. Although, Ben and I were talking about it, I still think that they're going to repeat. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I agree. I think they will too.
Great. Well, the game should be ready very shortly. I think I've got it on the screen. Players are looking good. Megan's covering up her face there. Hopefully, she's not too rattled by that.
Yeah, she just went all in and doesn't want anybody to see her facial expressions. Oh, wait, that's poker. Never mind.
Yes, she's going in the tank here. Okay, we do have another Panov Botvinnik. She's almost certainly going to play c5. We'll see. We'll wait for it, though.
Yeah, they're repeating it. E6, c5, bishop e7. Yep, same position.
Castles was new. Yeah, Castles was new. Disconnect was the previous move, but we prefer Castles.
That's right. Novelty, Castles.
Now, the game is already taking a different tenor than yesterday's game, where Aaron was saddled with a very, very weak b-pawn, but played this fantastic exchange sacrifice. This looks a little bit more, well, we'll just say normal. Now, if he were to take here, she'd get 3 against 1 on the queen side. So I think he'll keep the tension unless he loves the center pawns after BC, DC. In fact, he does.
A5 stopping b4. Black has the center pawns. White has the queenside pawns. At some point, d4 is going to be a threat. But since the bishop on f3 is attacking all of Black's pieces on the diagonal, doesn't look like Black's going to play that soon. And Megan prevents that anyway with knight b5. White has a bind on the queen side. Black, at some point, needs to get his center pawns going. That's not going to be an easy task.
Yeah, one drawback of playing knight b5 is you no longer pressure d5, and you actually make it a little bit easier for Black to equalize his pawns and get the snowplow. Well, it remains to be seen if black will actually push one of those pawns anytime soon, but maybe even as early as now. The problem is if you push, maybe it's something like bishop to g5, and then all the pawns are loose again. So you've really got to time it right when to get your center pawns going.
Yeah, I don't like rook b7. I want to keep my pieces away from the bishop on f3.
Okay, decision time here for Megan. Her knight's being attacked 3 times. Seems like she'll just trade unless she conjures something even better. Maybe she's looking at, I don't know, some kind of strange pawn sack. I don't think c6 does anything, though.
Play knight d6 and sacrifice the pawn on b2 and get 2 bishops against 2 knights. That's what I'm hoping for.
Got it. And you would take with
the pawn to get my pawn further advanced. Then I guess black can take on b2. The engine says white's better, so my idea is not completely crazy.
Okay. Let's go back to the game. And I think we're in the live position here. So it was not played. Instead, it looks like she traded, put the queen on d4. The rook went back to b7.
Right.
And now again, whose pawns are going to go forward first? If the queenside pawns for white go forward first safely, then white's better. And if black is able to once and for all equal out his pawns, those pawns become mobile and black will probably be worse. Computer actually says that black is just fine, though.
Yeah, it's very difficult for white to play b4 and get those pawns going. Instead, Megan attacks the a5 pawn. Megan's a minute behind on the clock. This match, Aaron's been playing a little bit faster. The opening and middle game. Usually in the end game, Megan catches up. White has the 2 bishops. White has the pass c pawn. White's pawn structure is a little strange on the queen side. And going to trade pawns on a5 and c5. Now, white's going to have 2 connected past queenside pawns that aren't very dangerous yet. And black has the big center. White has the 2 bishops. Very exciting game. Still, Aaron has a 1-minute time advantage. Megan's going to have to start playing faster.
And Megan has gotten decent positions as black. So it's not like if she loses, she's out of the match just because Aaron would only need to draw. But man, if either player were able to win this game, that would just do wonders for their chances to become the champion because they would only need to draw in the last game. But we're kind of back to what I said a few minutes ago. What's more important, the queenside pawns, the center pawns? The queenside pawns are proving to be a little bit more mobile, and Aaron just can't seem to get his pawn to e5.
Yeah, I think it was a mistake for Aaron to trade a and c5 pawns because now white's pawns are very strong on the queen side. Black has yet to play e5, e4, d4. So black is basically defending against white's queen side onslaught. Although black still has a big time advantage. White's position on the board is better. We'll see if Megan can get those pawns going. And if the pawns get to like b6 and a5, it's almost resign time because those pawns are just too strong.
The one thing in Aaron's favor, he has not had to worry about his extra pawns for a while. She's got to be really careful because if she drops one pawn, then she's almost certainly going to lose the other pawn. So that combined with his 1-minute time advantage, she's objectively better. But Aaron is actually weirdly able to pose a little bit more problems, although the pawns look totally safe now. The pawns are getting closer and closer to just having their free reign up the chessboard.
Yeah, we'll see if black trades or puts the knight on c4.
I think with the minute time advantage, you keep things complicated.
On f3 doesn't seem very good, so I like knight c4.
Yeah, keep the knight on the board. Knights are annoying when you're very low on time to deal with. But the pawns, again, they equalize. And I don't know if we can call it a snowplow on the side of the board, but I think we all know about snowplows in Toronto. Those pawns are coming forward. Pawn takes is going to be the move, I think, to keep the queen on the correct side of the board. I don't think she cares about her king's safety. I shook with the queen, though. Okay.
Also good. Yeah. And the pawns got to beat a5 and b6, like I said. And then I said white was going to win. So we'll see if I'm right. Those pawns are just too strong.
Okay, this is actually an inverse of the last game where it's Aaron now pitching his queen down the board, trying to create counterplay. But the king is much safer for Megan than Aaron's was in the previous game.
Black's trying to get counterplay. Black has a big time advantage. White's going to try to put her king on g2, unpin the bishop. Black has a passed pawn also. Engine really likes white. It likes those passed pawns on a5 and b6.
b6 is safe. a6 is only possible.
f5, basically going all in. A6. Stop the game. It's too exciting.
Yeah, you got to do something here as Aaron, because once the queen got to E3, the pawns got mobile again. Okay, you can check, and she's going to have to get rid of the blockade on the light squares after the check. Okay, now both queens are going to become blockading pieces.
Wow, F5, G5.
Queen D4 is coming. Queen D4 is going to be a forced queen trade, because otherwise you're either going to mate or you're going to promote. So Queen D4 is the positional threat. Computer says there's nothing you can do ultimately to stop this idea.
And just like with previous games, Megan has a big time disadvantage that she catches up in the end game.
Oh man, this is like that La Bordona game where the pawns are all going to end up on the 7th rank. Okay, we've got 17 pawns about to promote. How many queens do we have? Arbiter. Oh, it's a digital game. We have as many as we need. And Megan is the first to promote. I don't think that the black pawns are going to cause her too much of a problem.
Two extra queens is pretty good.
Yep, her second checkmate on the board of the day. Wow. This one almost as important as the first one. Megan will take a 1-game lead into the final game. She's up 3-2, but Aaron does get white in the pivotal game 6. It's win or go home for Aaron. Essentially, Megan has draw odds. It's going to be a very exciting game 6, Ben.
Yeah, that was a great game. We got, as you said, 1 million pawns on the 6th and 7th rank about to promote. But just like when Megan was attacking on opposite side castling, Megan's broke through quicker. Pawns got too strong. I think black shouldn't have traded off his A pawn, given white the 2-pass queenside pawns. Aaron wins the game. We're going to have a tie break. Otherwise, Megan is the champion. And as I said earlier, when she woke up this morning, she thought that she won $300 yesterday. If she wins or draws this game, she gets $1,500. A big difference.
Okay, we have another B3 Sicilian. Aaron played this in his first chance as white, and if memory serves, didn't get a great position when the kings were castled on opposite sides. But you can throw that out the window here. Here he would love opposite sides castles because he needs to win. He needs to create some sort of craziness in the position.
That's right. Very positional for white, getting a slight advantage, a little bit more space. Both players.
Game 4, he was in the driver's seat playing a lot more positionally. He did have that passed pawn on the queen side, but Megan neutralized it with her famous counterplay. And here, she tries to get the queens off the board. Now, Ben, yesterday we asked a couple of the players, were you keeping track of the results? And they said, most of them said no. Here, obviously, in one-on-one matches, they're both hyper aware of the situation.
I forgot what happened the first 5 games. Who's ahead?
Yeah. That's a you problem, as Danny Wrench says. If you can't remember your last 5 games, of course the players can.
Knight H5. Knight's going to try to get to some of the dark squares on the king side. Black is very solid. Both players have the same amount of time. Position's about equal. And Aaron's in a must-win game.
Yeah, not that Megan would ever do this, but knight to G3 is something to be avoided since a move like B4 and the queen is having trouble maintaining the pin. I think it's the F4 square, and of course, with Ben Feingold commentating, we have to say it's knife 4. That's where the knight wants to go.
Yeah, Megan's doing a good job controlling the dark squares on the king side. White's defending with knight E2.
Yeah, if knife 4 there, bishop F C1 was interesting because even after knight takes H3, the king might walk. We're a long way past that, but there are a couple of things to concern yourself with in this position. Bishop C1 now, maybe it wasn't worth the pawn sack on H3.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Megan needs a draw to win the tournament, and she's playing super aggressively. That's the way you should play.
Yeah, but she is playing a little bit quicker. She has been getting a couple of seconds, to the worse against Aaron, but she picks off a pawn, and she's not lower on time. Looking pretty good so far for her, all things considered.
Aaron's reaction was he didn't see bishop takes E4. He reacted by moving his head like, what?
Well, he's got the bishops, and he's going to get a little bit of counterplay against the D pawn. So all is not lost.
Right. It's just a pawn. Megan continues to play actively with f5. Megan
This
does
is it. Game 6. Aaron needs to win as white, and yet it's Megan that's the one that's attacking. I love this strategy for her.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is it difficult to deal with, it is also her, can I say this on air? Oeuvre? It's her normal forte.
Mm-hmm.
She's taking a while here. I would have
It's
thought
time
knight
for
takes was insta.
it's time for Aaron to get the opposition and disconnect.
Yeah, apparently this is terrible for her. Her queen has to go back. If her queen had gone to f7, I'm going to show it super quickly. If I can go back. If her queen goes to f7, bishop to e6. What a way to go to the tiebreak after this move. She was able to avoid that, though. And let's get back to the live position quickly.
Yeah, white has a big attack down the G file. Black's queen is misplaced. The tables have turned. Aaron has the winning position now. And we'll see if he can break through with the attack and force a tiebreak.
Reminder, the tiebreak will be 2 games of 3+1. And if still tied, then we'll go to Armageddon. This decision actually for her to play aggressive with f4 is backfiring, but I still like it in the general sense because she has played her best chess when the position has gotten dynamic. Also, I'm going to say
players have about
she's
the same
not
amount of time.
Yep. And she's not losing more in this game than she was in game 1 when she was able to hold the draw.
Right.
But her queen is just struggling to get back in the game here.
Yeah, the tables can turn again. White's king is also a little airy. So sometimes black can get an attacking the h4 pawn, pretty weak.
I almost wonder if she's going to play h5, queen h6, queen f6. I know it's very mechanical, but you've got to do something to get your queen in the game. I just realized I would hang the bishop, but you've got to move the bishop at some point anyway.
Yeah.
Can't play bishop f5. Again, the queen is overworked.
Does bishop f5 just win? Queen g8, rook e7?
It's looking pretty good. Rook g6 instead. Threatening rook takes h6. That kind of gets the job done too.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to go to playoffs.
Yeah, you can't play king h7 because of the double check. We're going to see 2 double checks in a row. Rook takes g7, rook h7, double check mate.
Yeah, rook g1 or rook 7, both good.
Yep. Rook over. Rook takes g7 is the threat. Double check on the queen if we can make up that turn. Rook takes g7 might still win. Actually looks pretty good, but rook f6? Fancy?
Ooh, yeah, I like that move.
Wow. Not a very fun game for Megan to have to play. Just a bunch of ugliness once her queen got buried. Queen takes first. Okay.
Yeah, bishop e6
and the queen.
I didn't see queen f6.
Yeah,
I saw queen h8. Queen f6 is better.
They coordinate really well. Just to show you this line, if the king had moved, we would have had rook takes g7, double check, king back, rook h7, double checkmate, quadra check. That wasn't quite how it ended, but still convincing for Aaron. He won on demand, and here we go. It is an official tiebreak situation, our first tiebreak of the entire weekend, and we're not going to go to break. We're going to go straight to more chess. We will have a break if there's Armageddon because we've got to decide who's white and black, but we're just flipping the script, and Megan will take white in this game, I'm pretty sure. We will invert colors, although maybe that's not what's showing on my screen, but yes, it is showing on my screen. Okay, Megan will take white in this game, and we're back to nothing, Ben. 6 games have been played, and nothing has happened. We're all tied, and everything is to play for here.
Yeah, 3-3, I'm not surprised. That was a very even match with a lot of exciting games. It could have gone either way. I feel really nervous for the players. Players have both gotten up. They've had enough. They're going to share the title. Oh, wait, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, there's no official break, but we're going to be very accommodating if a player has to use the restroom or something. So I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I would rather them be seated and comfortable and ready. I'm just going to make sure for my team that Megan does get white in this game, and that we're continuing to invert colors. But that would make the most logical sense to me. This is the conclusion. Go ahead,
I have a
Ben.
note that says Aaron gets white.
Yeah, I guess you could make the argument that he should be white a second time in a row. But anyway, it doesn't really matter too much because they're both going to get one white. They're both going to get one black. A quick reminder before this starts, in early June, we will have the under 16 championship with some stars that I'm sure you've heard of. We have the defending champion, Yej Erdemis, the young 2600 grandmaster from Turkey. We have Fausti. We have Alice Lee. We have Tani Adewume, the new bearer of the IM title. Tani will be joining us right before his first trip to Europe, but forget about that. Under 13 championship, we are in a tiebreak situation. Aaron gets white again. He goes back to the B3 Sicilian. Ben, take it away.
Yeah, they've done this before. In fact, did it last game. Engine doesn't like C4, but I think white gets a very slight advantage in this position.
Luckily
Black's playing
for Aaron, he
super
does
solid.
not.
Both sides playing super fast.
He doesn't
Looks like last
need
game.
to win. Yeah, it's actually, I think, a carbon copy of last game. Queen
Yeah, Rook
C5 is
F1.
what Megan played in the last game.
Yeah.
Now, unlike the last game, Aaron doesn't necessarily have to run away from a queen trade. He can just make moves on their objective merit. A draw is not the worst thing in the world for him. But he's showing some aggression here. I don't remember if he played such an aggressive idea with F4 in the previous game.
No. In fact, Black was playing on the king side with knight H5 and queen G5, bishop F6. White's the first to play aggressively on the king side.
Okay, sometimes knight D5 becomes a tactical trick here, which would probably just gain the bishop pair. So Megan gets out of that by playing queen back to B6.
Okay, the crowd wants to see G4, and the crowd does see G4. Good.
Yeah. Although I wonder if she's almost goading him into playing aggressively. I think she really likes it when the position is mixed up. Although it should be said, when she mixed it up in the last game, Aaron very quickly pounced on the G file. He did not hesitate, and she never got back in the game after the G file opened. Okay, here comes F5. Don't call it a pawn sack. Probably isn't really a pawn sack. I doubt. There's no way in the world she takes twice on F5.
No.
Okay.
And then
I resign. I mute my microphone. Actually, F6 was a probably annoying move, so it makes a little bit more sense now that I look at it further.
And Black wins the endgame with the extra pawn, but not yet.
Ooh, that's a bold prediction. Okay, knight E6, hated by the computer.
Yeah.
Can't say that it looks bad. I mean, the knight had to enter the game at some point. Maybe knight G6? Who knows? Continuing the aggression. The pawn is not just there for cannon fodder. Sorry, Ben?
Yeah, there's that extra pawn, F4. Yeah, White's really dominating on the white squares in the center. F6 is weak. Queen on B6 can't get to the king side. Looking bad for Black.
Yeah. Now, knight F6 is going to be a problem today and tomorrow and the next day. How does Black ultimately deal with this move? Even trading bishops doesn't really stop the problem in the long run.
No, White's going to gain access to the F6 square and have an attack against Black's king. Black doesn't have defensive resources over there. So this is looking really good for Aaron so far.
And the other annoying thing is, because you have to move your knight on E6, after knight F6, you can never take because G7 will be an entry point for the white queen. You'd like to keep your knight there in case that happens. For example, if your knight could stay there and the knight comes to F6, you could at least take. And after pawn takes, hide your king on H8 and play rook G8. But without your knight there, you actually get mated on G7. Sorry for the Hikaru arrows. I had to do it once today.
Yeah, this is looking really bad for Black.
Yep, it's desperate.
We just rook F4, rook H4.
He targets the h7 pawn first, and I can't
And
say I
queen b1.
disagree.
Yeah, she has
Wow.
to reason. Yeah, I didn't see queen
That is
b1. I
something.
saw a slower way to do it.
Yeah, queen b1. Queen going backward to win. A little itty bitty move is indefensible. Shades of Fischer's queen d7, not really, but kind of. And that says something if Megan just straight resigns, because she is the queen of counterplay, but there was nothing to play there. Absolute precision from Aaron. Cold-blooded, you might even say. And now the tables have turned. It was Aaron who had to win on demand as white. Now it's Megan. In order to continue the match, in order to go to Armageddon, Megan must win as white. Aaron has draw odds. Predictions on the opening, Ben?
I think it'll be something sharp. Megan's going to go for an advantage right away. And maybe we'll see that Carol Khan again.
I think we will see a Carol Khan. She's not going to not play e4, and he's not going to not play c6, if you ask me. But maybe she'll choose something besides that Panov Botvinnik where she plays an early c5. Let's find out. Okay, we have a
Okay,
Panov.
Megan has to
Will
win
she
on
play-
demand, and we'll have an Armageddon. If Aaron can draw or win this game, he wins the event. Yeah, it's the same opening. Let's see who blinks first.
It is a theoretical discussion in this border battle, USA versus Canada. And this does seem to be a repeat of game, what number would it be at this point? Game 5, I think. The one that she won, actually, to take a temporary one-game lead in the match. If you'll recall, what happened in game 5 is that essentially she got 3 against 1 and got 2 past queenside pawns, while he got the very strong center, but his center was immobile. So we'll see if we have this b6, a5 stuff from him or not. He does play a5. Okay, so far, I don't know if it's the exact carbon copy, Ben, but it's looking strikingly similar.
Yeah, the engine likes White's position. Megan won a nice game last time in this line, like getting her queenside pawns going.
Yep,
Time is
she
about
played
the same.
a4, knight b5. Mm-hmm.
Looking at the players, it doesn't seem like it's for the championship. They both look just totally focused, trying to play the best game that they can.
Yep. It should be noted that Megan was completely unfazed even when she was winning. And now we have, in the semifinals, now we have a new idea. E5, Aaron does not strike with b6. Instead, he goes after the center pawns with e5. That does make the d5 pawn incredibly weak. But Ben, any general thoughts or intuitive thoughts on this move?
Yeah, it's a very exciting move. Megan plays bishop g5, not taking on e5, which would weaken all the pawns. e5, d5, c5. Engine doesn't like bishop g5. I assume black should play e4 here. Although d4 pawn is attacked, then white would try to win the d5 pawn. And it's too complicated for me. That's why I'm not playing. Black did play e4, which is what I would have played. Now, d5 and d4 pawns are both potential targets. White still has long-term plan of playing b4, b5, getting a crushing position on the queen side. Megan's doing just that by playing queen a4. She wants to play b4. Black wants to play f5, f4. And we're going to see pawn attacks on both sides of the board. And we'll see whose is more effective. But I think in a must-win position, this is very good for Megan. It doesn't look like it can peter out to a draw. It looks like something decisive is going to happen.
Yeah, and I'm going to build on that good point, Ben. When Black played e5 a long time ago, I think he was hoping to get all of the d and c pawns off the board. And even though White might have a small advantage, there's so much less dynamicism in the position. Dynamism, I always get that one wrong. And by her playing this bishop g5 move, whether it was objectively best, practically speaking, look at this wonderful position where lots of things can happen. Her pawns are immobile. Black has pieces have all gone nearly to the back rank. So a very good objective decision by Megan to not trade off all those center pawns.
Megan just played g3, which the engine doesn't like. She's threatening bishop f4. Then Black has to play queen a7, not something Black wants to do. Black prevents that with bishop g5. Black is going to try to play f5, f4, and get counterplay. Black's pieces are all on the back rank now. White's going to push on the queen side, and we're going to see if Black's counterplay is enough to deter Megan from promoting on the queen side.
Yeah, Megan would love for this knight on c3 to maybe get, I don't know, somewhere useful like c7 and trap the queen. You don't quite have control over c7 yet, but if you can just stymie the queen, you don't even have to win her necessarily, because she would just be out of the game for a long, long time. Knight takes d5, upsetting the apple cart, trading
Yeah, I
two
was
minor
looking at
pieces
that,
for
but I
a
didn't know
rook.
if it was good, but it was interesting.
Well, yeah, black can now guard the rook twice with knight f6 and rook d8, but black might be guarding that rook for a while. And don't forget, c6 is a possibility in some lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the engine didn't like knight takes d5 very much, although it says black is only slightly better. So again, white's trying to crush down queen side with those pawns. Black wants to play f4. Black is up material right now. Black has a big time advantage. Megan's been thinking a long time. The last 3 moves, she's in a must-win situation. I think knight takes d5 is a good try when a draw doesn't do it. You got to win. You got to make the game complicated and hope that your opponent, time trouble, can't figure it out. Unfortunately, it looks like this just helped black. Black dominates the d5 square. Black still has f4 coming. The queenside pawns aren't as dangerous as I thought they once were. So it looks like good position for black. Black has extra time, but it's very complicated. Black steps out of the pin with king h7. Engine doesn't like that. Seems like a very natural move. Megan puts more pressure on d5 with the rook. Engine really hates that. And now white has no passed pawns on the queen side. I think the only way Megan can win this game is if black makes a huge blunder, but black has a lot of extra time. So it's looking good for Aaron right now.
Another thing against Megan's chances is that knights do really good at defending one side of the board. So not only did she lose her only passed pawn, or really her only useful passed pawn, the knights are just fine defending one side of the board. In fact, you might even be able to remove a black knight and black would be okay. I'm exaggerating a little bit there, but Megan probably should have put her queen on d7. Instead, she went back to b3, and that really caused her to play this passive position. I don't see many chances, but she's going to play it out. She has to.
Yeah, and Megan has a big time disadvantage as well. Again, white's hoping for a blunder of some sort, but I don't see it coming right now.
The knights just coordinate too easily. White's making a threat here and there. Maybe rook c7 puts black in a mini bind, but not really.
Yeah, this is just waiting for black. Black has a lot more time on the clock also.
This would be a lot more interesting if Aaron had to win, and we might see like a 2 knights versus pawn position. But that's not the case. It's looking very, very good for Aaron. And if he wins this, it would be his second ChessKid title of all time. He was the 2023 ChessKid Youth Speed Chess Champion. But we're not done yet. Megan's going to fight till the end, as she has done all event.
Yeah, and also, if Aaron does win this game, it's 3 wins in a row. Wow, good finish.
Yeah, excellent finish. It has been about as exciting of a final as we could have hoped for. The king is coming down the board. We have almost a knight checkmate, and she had to stop knight d3 check. She does for the moment, but the pawns are inexorably coming down the board. You can actually promote here. And
playing for stalemate, but then she still loses the match if it's stalemate.
Right. When she loses the pawn, we can call the match. There we go. There is no way for white to win. Aaron wins by resignation. And there we see the first bit of emotion from Megan. But congratulations to her. She played excellent chess. She was called in at the last minute as a replacement, and she made it to her first ever finals by my calculation. But a big congratulations to International Master Aaron Mendez, the 2025 ChessKid Youth Champion in the under 13 division. Ben, that was so exciting. And I think we're going to try to get both players for an interview after this is over. It is over. Okay. Actually, we're going to take just Aaron for this interview. And we want to spend some time with him and hear how he was able to do it, how he was able to win on demand, and what it feels like to win another ChessKid Youth Championship. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, we will hear from our Canadian champion.
I'm Gotham Chess, and I'm about to film the most extreme chess challenge I've ever done. I'm gonna be playing 4 games at the same time, and every kid is gonna be armed with a giant super soaker gun. Let's see if I can win all 4 games. Okay. Why did I sign up for this? This is like extreme sports. Oh my gosh, I can't even see. These two are like really brutal. I feel like I haven't even been attacked on that side. Why are you all defending your kings? Like, just let me win. Okay, all right, that's fair. I'm gonna be so excited when your water guns run out of water. I'm just gonna like... Oh yeah. How about you all do it at the same time for like 30 seconds straight? Hey, it's just... Yay! I play this. It is mean, yes. How does she still have water? Oh my god. Checkmate. Good game. For some reason? Well, that means he probably enjoys chess, right? For some reason. No? That was so fast. I'm down to 2 boards. Ah! How do you still have so much water?
I haven't played.
Okay, no problem.
Before I move, my checkmate, I just yeah! I'm done.
Okay, yay. Ah, I had a feeling she was lying. That's checkmate. Good game. I can sacrifice my queen. I'm just saying, don't so mean. Ah! Good game. You lasted the longest. I'm trying to shake your hand. Woo! That was very fun. Thank you for volunteering. You know, actually, I feel like getting revenge.
Welcome back, everybody, and I have the pleasure of being joined by the 2025 ChessKid Youth Champion in the Under 13 division, a familiar face. He was the 2023 ChessKid Youth Speed Chess Champion as well, International Master Aaron Mendez of Toronto, Canada. He does not go to Tim Hortons, but he does win a lot of chess games. And Aaron, I want to ask you, after all of that action, it's been a couple of minutes, but how are your nerves right now?
I'm still pretty tensed from the games because I got really scared when it was the must-win situation with White.
Have you ever been in a tournament before where you were in a must-win situation like that?
I mean, I have for my IM norms, which I was trying to get, but I usually messed that up and didn't actually win. So yeah.
It seemed a little bit like in this match there was a clash of style. It seemed like you maybe outplayed her a little bit when the position had a little bit more symmetry and you were just targeting one weakness. But it seemed like Megan really liked it when chaos was unfolding on the board. Did you get that
Yeah.
same sort of feeling?
Yeah, I did because I usually like to play with a bit of time extra, and then with the chaos, I just spend too much time calculating, so I also made a lot of mistakes.
Let me ask you, there was a couple times in this match against Megan where she played the Panov Botvinnik with an early c5. And I have old man brain, but I believe she played that against you yesterday. First of all, is that right? And secondly, did you look at that game at all to prepare for possibly playing her today?
Um, I did not look at that game because I didn't know I was playing Megan. Also, yesterday I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure she went for the a knight Earth against me because I didn't play Carol at all yesterday.
Okay. You had some similar game, I thought, where you sacked an exchange. But again, Aaron, it's old man brain. That's on me. That's not on you. Okay. I'm remembering the wrong game. Ben, what questions would you like to ask Aaron?
Well, I want to congratulate Aaron first. When you came in today, did you feel super confident? I'm going to win this event, or were you like, man, this event's tough. I hope I can win at least one match.
I mean, I was not really sure. I didn't try to put any expectations. I was just trying to play my best.
Hmm. And do you feel like you played better in the semifinals or the finals?
I think I played better in the semifinals. My games there were pretty good, but in the finals it got quite a bit chaotic and I messed up quite a lot.
Aaron, I'm going to ask you a question that no kid has ever given me a direct answer for. You just won 1,500 US dollars. I did the calculation, $2,070 in Canada. Are you going to buy something after your win? Tell me you have some luxury purchase, the new Oculus or something. I don't know.
Um, Actually no. I
There you go.
mean,
My record is
but
perfect.
yeah, I'm probably not gonna buy anything. Maybe like random stuff around the house, maybe, or toys, but that's all I guess.
Well, we had a rule when I was growing up. Maybe either of you can tell me. When my dad took me to a chess tournament and I won money, I had to take him out to dinner at the end of the tournament. So, anything like that going on in your family?
No, no.
How did you prepare for this? Did you work with a coach, even though these are blitz games?
Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to look at my opponent's games and what they play,
And do you
like mainly in the
want to tell
blitz
us who your
games,
coach
not
is?
the class. Sure.
Okay.
I have three main coaches: GM Stanny, GM Swimes, and GM Arjun.
Oh, wow. Okay. But not Arjun Aragaisi.
No, no, no. Arjun
Well, that's what I
Kalyan.
thought when you said it. You tricked me there. Wow.
Arjun Kalyan.
Okay, I'm sure he's great too, but your $1,500 that you won might only buy you 1 or 2 hours with Arjun Aragaisi. So probably better to stick with your coaches, and they did great preparing you. I've got some questions from the chat here. Smiley6ix wants to know, how did you get into chess? Like, what got you in? Yesterday we learned Reyaansh's grandmother got him into chess. What got you into chess?
My dad and my cousins. I used to play with my dad a lot, but not actually full chess. But then my cousins used to play a lot of chess, and then I really liked the like how they play chess. So yeah, I started chess.
Okay.
How good is your dad at chess right now?
I'm not sure. Like I don't actually have a rating for my dad because he's never actually played against me,
Mhm.
but he can analyze my games to a point. So
Okay, so that means like he's good enough at chess to be watching your game in the other room and
yeah,
getting nervous
yes,
along with
yes,
you, and okay,
yeah, yeah.
speaks the language. Okay. In fact, speaking of sort of emotions, we have a good question also from the chat from Astoli. Astoli wants to know, how did you manage to stay focused after not winning that game one when you were just totally winning at one point with the past A pawn?
Oh, I was really mad at that. I mean, I was like so mad. I was just trying to do deep breathing. I mean, I'm not sure if my video was up, but my face was like so angry. I was genuinely angry. But yeah, I just try to breathe in and breathe out and try to calm myself down.
I think you hit it pretty well. Both you and Megan looked pretty stoic during the match. Ben, do you have any more questions for our
Yeah.
champion?
Are you as nervous and emotional in an online blitz tournament as you would be in a slow tournament? Because it sure looked like it.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, in classical, my nervousness starts and ends like at the start of the game, I'm not nervous, but before the game, I'm pretty nervous. But
Right.
in Blitz, it's like throughout the game, I always have the nervousness since the game's pretty short.
Yeah. I actually feel the same way. When I'm playing a slow game, I'm very nervous before the game. Then when the game starts,
Yeah,
I'm fine. But in blitz
yeah,
chess, you have so many decisions to make, and you
yeah,
played as much chess as anybody. You got to play game after
yeah,
game after game. You can sort of
yeah,
forgive yourself for making mistakes because you're making many more decisions in a blitz
yeah,
game when you play 10 games a day than a slow game.
yeah, yeah.
What about for interviews, Aaron? Are you nervous for interviews like this?
No, not much.
Some
I
kids
just
are,
try to
but yeah,
stay
you're
calm.
handling it well. A couple more questions from the chat. Krishna 21234. Want to make sure I get that in. It's not Krishna 21233. Where do you want to be in 5 years, whether chess wise or even outside of chess?
I've not gotten to like the point. I mean, I don't know, increase my rating, become a grandmaster,
And
like
what about the
plus
national
26 in the
team?
world.
I mean, okay, look, you're going to make the national team at some point. I'm not even going to pretend that you're not. But what's the first Olympiad that you would like to play?
I'm not sure right now because my rating's not high enough to be. So once I mean, I think in the one like the Olympiad after the one. So yeah,
So 2028 would be the one you're
yeah,
targeting, maybe.
yes, yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. I've got one more question from chat. It's a pretty simple one from Borna010. Aaron, who's your role model? This person did not say if it was a chess model, role model or not, but I'll just leave it open-ended.
If we're going for chess, it's definitely Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, because I mean, I started playing Night only because of him. And Night my main opening, so like the entire Night thing is all because of him. So yeah.
Okay. And do you play the Grunfeld as well to go with full Maxime?
Yes, yes,
Do you really?
I do. Yeah, I do. I didn't play in Blitz because I was not sure if it would work well in Blitz, but yeah, in Classical I did.
Okay. Ben, my memory is old, but 10 years ago, didn't you have a sort of bromance with Maxime and thought he was going to ascend to world number 2 or something?
Yeah, when Maxime was like 25th, 30th in the world, I actually played in a tournament with him in the UAE, and I'd seen his games online, and I was like, this guy's different than other players. He's going to get to top 5 in the world. And one time for the Sinkfield Cup, when Tony Rich was deciding who to invite, I told him to invite MVL. MVL got invited. I asked Tony Rich later, how did you decide which people to invite? Because there's so many strong players. And he said, I invited MVL because you told me to. So I feel responsible for a lot of MVL's rise in the chess world. I've been a big fan of his also. I don't play the Night or for the Grunfeld because I would lose in 15 moves, but I'm really excited when he plays it. He seems like he knows what he's
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
Yeah, one of the nicest guys in chess. All right, just real quick, Aaron, when's the next tournament we're going to be able to see you at, whether it's over the board or online? Where can your fans catch you next?
I'm not sure. For over the board tournaments or online, I'm not sure. Maybe a few tournaments in May, in like wait, yeah, in May, maybe 2 tournaments, maybe classical, but I'm not really sure yet.
Okay, let the parents handle the scheduling. You handle the good moves. Congratulations again, our 2025 ChessKid Youth Champion in the under 13 division. It was great to have you on. Team Canada goes away a winner, and we are about to go away. But before we do, let's take a look at that final bracket. Thanks again, Aaron, for joining.
Sure. And thanks to Chess.com and ChessKid for holding this.
Excellent. All right, there we go. There's what we saw today. Megan got by Wiktor by the score of 3-1. I believe all of those games were decisive. Aaron got by 2.5 to 1/2, getting himself a little bit of an extra break. And then, well, those finals, Ben, he won on demand to go to tiebreak, and then he won 2-0 in the tiebreak. Very impressive, very amazing how he handled his nerves. And he takes away $1,500 US, more than 2,000 Canadian, and Megan takes away $1,000 for her efforts. I do want to mention Super T Banerjee did qualify for today, but he was needed for his 4 NCL team. I do want to make sure we shout out him for having such a great day yesterday, but wasn't able to join us today. Ben, any final thoughts?
That was a very exciting event. I'm glad I got to do commentary. The most exciting match was the finals. Got to go to overtime, and I hope I get to do this with you again, Mike. That was really fun.
Super fun for me. My next phone call is to Maxime so he can give a private message congratulating our winner, Aaron Mendez. This is not the last you've heard of any of these players. They're all on their way to great things. So thank you, Ben, for being a great commentator. It's like the old days, and I love it. You look the same, and that's great. You're as funny as ever. And we'll continue with more 80s movie trivia the next time. The ChessKid Under 16 Championship, Youth Championship, will be in early June. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you at a future show.